Cue the sad prince, and the rain that falled over Lambeau yesterday was purple in a 31-29 Vikings victory, and the home team goes to 2-2 after what was a valiant fight back, a resilient punch. No quit in this team. However, the first 30 minutes were quit worthy for some of those that were a part of the 78,000 plus that were at Lambeau Field yesterday for the second home battle and the first L at home for the Green Bay Packers. It's 9 to noon. I'm Billy Schmid, Armin Sarian by my side in the iHeart Megaplex studios, and we are joined, like you were yesterday, from the sidelines on the Packers radio network by two-time Super Bowl champion, John Coon. I ramped it up there so you'd be able to catch it in the front end there, but he didn't. John, heck of a day yesterday. What a fight, but goodness gracious, tale of two games and two halves there of football yesterday.
It's funny you mention it. I did see people leave Lambeau early. That might be a first.
Oh, big time early.
I've seen people leave Lambeau early. Obviously, more times than not, it's because the Packers are winning by a bunch. They want to beat the traffic, right? I don't know if I've ever seen people leave Lambeau with the Packers losing and still have a chance to come back, right? That's the weird spot we were in yesterday with it 28-0.
Yeah, and
28-7.
And not necessarily normal ale coiners like Zabe, who's flipping that bad boy every single game, John, there at the third
left
quarter.
At halftime, right?
You got to think so, yeah. I would.
Well, if you already always leave early, then you have to think.
Then you had to think yesterday was the time that you're seeing and missing.
Well, you got to leave early for the early bunch. That's the part of ailing. You got to leave early for the early crew. It was a tale of two games. It was an ugly first half for the Packers. And, here's the deal. Even good teams play bad sometimes, and the Packers played horribly in that first half. Played entirely into Minnesota's hands. Some rust on Jordan Love, which was the fear, the one fear that I really had in this ballgame. Jordan Love come back, has some rust. And what's crazy about it is the rust is, this as he progressed throughout last season, he learned how to play in different scenarios, and he learned how to play, really manage a game while also making premier throws with his arm. And yesterday he relied a little bit too much on the premier throws with the arm, and not as much managing the football game, especially early on. All right, that forced throw to Christian Watson. Not only does it have the injury to Christian Watson, that's injury, addition to insult, but the interception. You should never be throwing that ball. That ball is a risk you do not need to take. Not in the first quarter. If you tell me you get to the fourth quarter and it's potentially your last drive of a game, and you have to fit a ball in somewhere because you're playing a defense that you just have not really. Okay, I can understand. Not in the first quarter. That is too much of a risk. Into heavy traffic.
Risk with the football and for your player, John, which sadly you ended up seeing on that side.
You got to say this. I mean, Christian Watson, some receivers aren't even going for that ball. Receivers aren't even going for that ball.
In there,
so, a little bit of rust on Jordan Love. Some penalties again. I mean, penalties,
especially
again.
early.
When are we going to clean up the penalties?
It's becoming a recurring problem.
The thing about penalties that I don't normally get too worked up on is penalties. You can fix penalties yourself. It is completely independent of your opponent. You can fix the penalties based off of your focus and your attention to details. You can. It's got nothing to do with the other team. Your penalties. You can clean those up. Well, guess what? They haven't really done it yet in 4 games.
No.
Less penalties down in Tennessee, but still penalties, and they drop balls. How many drop balls yesterday from guys that we're not used to dropping balls?
There was.
Rome had 2 drops. Dontavian had to have had 4 drops. There were massive amounts of drops in this football game. And yes, I get it. Some of them were because of the rust that Jordan Love had, a little bit low, a little bit behind. But it's that focus thing. It's that locked in thing. And the Packers, they were kind of playing the first half, feeling themselves. Okay, no big deal.
Hey, we're all right. Let's go. We're all right.
What I love about this team is that, right, that they can rally and they can come back from down 28 points. That was impressive. What I don't like about this team is that, All right, we're fine. We're
Come
fine.
on, we're okay, guys.
You got to flip the switch sooner.
Yeah.
You got to flip it much sooner.
And the thing with Jordan Love, I mean, yeah, maybe it was rusty, high, low, whatever. There were some rescue balls in there, but you got to help your guy out. Defensively, he moved the ball in his first possession. They end up, again, with the red zone problems, as we've talked about. Had to settle for the field goal, don't get the field goal. Next thing you know, he looks up, it's 14-0. He's had the ball one time and moved the ball. So, the defense couldn't get off the field early, obviously gave up the big plays. That was an issue right away to get behind. But, your guy's coming back. He might not be as sharp as he is. You got to catch balls that are coming to you. That was definitely an issue throughout. So, yeah, Jordan Love might not have been sharp, but you can't get down 14-0 right away like that and expect
and that's
go your way.
That's where the first of the NicolaLaw.com talking text line messages, and there will be plenty. It's wide open for you at 414-799-1973 on a Misery Loves Company Monday as the Packers lose 31-29 to the Vikings yesterday. 715. When I heard the Packers won the coin toss and deferred, I knew what was about to happen. LaFleur failed his team with an arrogant game plan. So there was glaze and love for a game plan for the last 2 weeks. The defer of the win of the coin toss was a choice, John, that I was also a little bit surprised by, just because it seemed like the Packers have been dialed in since midway last year. We win the toss, we're going to take the football, and we're going to go score. And instead, that's exactly what the Vikings did, because that's their way of playing a game. Both these teams want to play from ahead. One got the ball first and never trailed.
Sometimes you think about things, and sometimes you create a plan, and sometimes that plan doesn't work. And we're all guilty of it, right? We're all guilty of, man, this is going to be so great. What a great idea I got right here. This thing's going to work beautifully. And then, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
Looking back on hindsight, that was pretty dumb.
Yeah.
Not just. I mean, this is a Minnesota team that has played with the lead in all, or tied or with the lead in all but 5 plays this year, and that means they have a recipe. They have a recipe to playing. We haven't even seen what they taste like if you add different ingredients, i.e. being down, i.e. coming from behind. You don't know what this Minnesota team looks like. I said to you guys yesterday, I think Darnold's going to Darnold all over himself today. And you know what? He tried. He fumbled. He threw an interception. But it didn't matter because they played with the lead, so they could take a little bit of that default. I was amazed that Kevin O'Connell was throwing the ball as much as he was late in that football game.
The Naylor.
I was thinking
play.
he was going to give us another one, and yet, I mean, they could have kept running it. They could have kept running clock, and they gave. I mean,
he desperately wanted to get 33 in the end zone.
It was which I mean, I don't blame him. I don't blame him,
but he was trying to score again.
But the crazy thing about this is, again, you defer. So when they deferred, I was like, ooh, we are going to have something cooked up for their behinds. We are going to do something crazy here this first drive on defense. Not just that, we kicked off into the wind. So not only did we not take the ball, we gave them the wind to start. Like, I don't know what you thought was going to happen here, but we gave them every advantage for a fast start.
Yeah, without your two best corners.
And there are days where you're like, listen, we want to be able to control this situation going down the stretch. We want to be able to control where we have the wind and when we have the ball.
All right.
We might be the last ball wins. And the Packers did get the double up experience, right? They did have that opportunity. They had the opportunity to double up. So to that extent, their plan worked. Had they had scored the second touchdown, it would have worked, tremendously, but they didn't. And with all this said, it's just, I don't know. I just think this is part of a good team, plays poorly, a good coach, has a plan, turns out to not be a great plan. I mean, we can make mistakes. And this is what's ironic about the NFL. Last week going into Tennessee, I heard a couple people say it. Probably some of our worst practice all year. This week heading into this football game, probably some of the best practices we've ever had.
Damn.
Yeah, what?
Damn.
It's still the game. It's still the game. Know. That's what really matters.
Yeah.
Well, and John, like that, you mentioned the double up opportunity. Even into halftime, it's 28-7. All right, you're hitting the sketch pad saying, how are we going to draw up this second half? We're going to cook up a comeback. It's going to come and start with us going out, getting points here, bringing it within a 2-score game. 3 and out. Then you get exactly what you're going to need in the midst of a comeback. You get a turnover. You get the interception. What's after that? 3 and out. Like the promptness of the biggest plays of the game. It did feel like in that second half, even while the Packers were moving the ball down the field, getting themselves back in the game, Tucker Kraft gets an octopus, brings you within 6. You have the opportunity under 10 minutes to go. one more score, and you're leading this ball game that you really had no business being into, and then having a potential to lead. Boom, boom, back to back, 15, 20 plus yard gains. It seemed like both to Justin Jefferson, and then instantly they're into field goal range. It's a 2-score game again. It was like the opportunities that they had to grasp and grab the game back just never did. Their first 5 possessions, as we talk about the early and slow start, 10 plays to Armin's point of the first drive, 5 minutes off the clock, missed field goal, 3 plays, pick, missed field goal, pick, turnover on downs, 3 and out. That ends up being the game changer, and really the only thing of breath that was breathed into the Packers, pumped into them, maybe by a machine. And as we grabbed the paddles and pumped it in, thank you, Jalen Naylor, for trying to catch that ball off your face mask on the Danny Whelan punt. Before that, there was no hope. And then, I mean, to dump on the penalties, and we'll lay it all out here, and then the reaction starts on the NickLaylaw.com talking text line on the other side as well at 414-799-1973. John, you get the biggest play of the game thanks to the special teams from the Minnesota Vikings. And then you almost blow it, because maybe the worst of the penalties is the one that comes in when you're trying to call a timeout with 20-some seconds to go, and Matt LaFleur sprinting down the sidelines and sprinting off the sidelines onto the field to try to grab that timeout for 15
I will
yards.
have revisionist history and say, not the worst penalty, because they still scored the touchdown. I understand the circumstance of what happened there.
Yeah.
I understand going from the 1-inch line all the way back there to the 15-yard line. I think that could have been handled differently by LaFleur. I liked it, though, because there was no fight. The team was getting worked.
I agree.
We were getting walked off the field. And even though our defense was still looking like they were playing hard, they looked like they were playing hard with not an answer, right? It's okay. We used to say it's okay to be as strong and as tough and try and run through a brick wall. But if I move that brick wall and you miss, you don't run through anything. And that's what was happening with the defense. They were all over the damn place. The offense looked like they were disheveled. And to me, that was a moment where Matt LaFleur was like, enough is enough already. We're getting hosed on the calls. Every 50-50 call goes the other way, and that's not an excuse. I mean, the calls actually were legit, but they were just every inch that
Things
the Packers
going
needed.
our way. Yeah.
Every inch that the Packers needed,
I get your point.
was
Right.
going the other way.
Right. You weren't saying they're bad
balls.
calls. Yeah.
Balls that wiggled on the ground would wiggle and touch the ground versus wiggle and stay in our hands. And you know, when the balls would wiggle that they were trying to catch, I've never seen a game with 5 reviews in it.
Yeah, no
5
kidding.
And we
reviews.
missed, like, what was it?
I don't know if we had a
Mhm.
review all year in the first 3 games, because that little buzzer review guy kept chirping down. The sky buzzer guy kept chirping down to the. Well, yesterday they were like, "No, the hell with this. You guys are going to do your own work. We're not doing the work from you up here in the box. You're going to do your homework." 5 reviews. Packers were 1-4 on the reviews. 5. So it's a game of inches. They were losing those inches. It's a game of breaks. They were losing those breaks. Sometimes you just got to take matters into your own hands, and that's what I think Matt LaFleur did. Now. I mean, it's not like he didn't just try to call a timeout the right way. Like he did several times. He tried to call a timeout.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And these refs were straight up ignoring him.
The
I don't
one
blame him for losing his mind.
I
If
don't
I'm
either.
losing 28-0, and no, my players aren't responding to me, and the refs aren't responding to me, I'm going to lose my stuff too.
That's a normal human reaction. I keep saying it. I kept saying it last night. It's a normal human reaction. And if he didn't jump in the air, I don't
the
think he would've got
jumping and
flagged.
kicking your feet down, that's a different
If
reaction.
he
But yeah,
yelled, got mad, even through his headset, we've
Toys
seen all
R
that.
Us. But yeah, definitely.
Right.
I thought my favorite part of it, you mentioned it, John, like at any point you got to get the attention. It's Bucks Media Day today. If anybody was, holy cow, if a tree falls in the woods, does anyone know it? Bucks Media Day today. Let's go. Come on.
Blood is going.
Great scheduling on Packers Monday right before the Brewers start their playoffs. But let's go. Bucks Media Day before they fly to UC Irvine. That's like Doc Rivers' team down 20 in the first quarter. Like, I got to get a tech. I got to do something to fire this crew up. And sadly, it did fire up at least seemingly the fans, because people that were there that then ended up wanting to stay. Luckily, Jaden Reed grabs a 50-50 got to have it ball. We can talk about some positives here. Jaden Reed. Holy cow.
He's something
Over
special.
130 yards, John, he's averaging in games that Jordan Love plays. Nice little connection there between 10 and 11. We're liking to see that.
He's something special, no doubt about it.
Fantasy owners liking to see the Jaden Reed connection, no doubt about it. And
there is good stuff to be excited about. And I maintain this. The team as a whole fought to the very end. That's great. There was no, oh shucks, this is just one of those days. There was no hanging of the head. But I can tell you, 28 points feels like a hill you cannot climb.
Of course, yeah.
20. The greatest Packer comebacks. There's two of them tied at 23 points. I was a part of one of them. And it feels like, okay, we just got to do one good thing. Let's just get the feeling of a good thing in our system. Then let's just get another. Oh, we got a turnover. Let's see what we turn this into. And then you finish it, right? They did all of it but finish. They stacked it one little step at a time, The problem is they just too big of a hole. And Justin Jefferson was a little too good.
Yeah, absolutely. Justin Jefferson was the main difference maker when they needed points, when they needed yardage.
Are you kidding me with that touchdown catch?
It's just ridiculous. I mean, he's that good. So, but you're going to see them again, and you're going to see them in a very important time, as you used the word correctly, penultimate game of the season. Great job on Packers OT. That could be a very important game, and getting some confidence back, and maybe planting a seed of doubt in the Vikings to say, look, this team turns it on. We could be in trouble against them. Could be important down the road. So I think even though they didn't come out with the victory, it was important to come out with a little bit of effort, a little bit of comeback situation.
What did the Vikings start in 2016? 5-0, finish 8-8. Now, listen, if any team can start fast,
manifest it, baby,
crumble down the stretch, it's the Minnesota Vikings. They're very, very good at doing it. They know a lot about it, and maybe we just incentivize that. I think Sam Darnold was 3-0 one time with the Carolina Panthers.
Well,
that's a great point. Manifest it. Sorry.
I still think the Packers are a better team than the Vikings. And listen, I'm going to have a lot of people blah, 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 blah all day about the game yesterday. I get it. The Packers lost. Yesterday, the Vikings were better. But I still think the Packers have more talent. If that Minnesota team, it's not a large gap, though. If that Minnesota team stays healthy, they will be in the playoffs. They have a solid core of players right there on that team.
And if you have Jair to cover Jefferson, I don't know how much different things will be, but I can't imagine it hurts.
That would be nice. Yeah, it would be nice if Jair Alexander's out there to cover Justin Jefferson or Jordan Addison. Either one of those two would have been nice to have somebody on. Or Carrington Valentine would have helped
Carrington
as well yesterday. But spoils go the victors, 31-29. Vikings are now 4-0, and they have a full game lead in the NFC North. We'll see tonight as to the final team in that NFC North, what they have to say about it, as the 2-1 Detroit Lions host the 3-0 Seattle Seahawks in the second of a doubleheader that you get on Monday Night Football. That's not the only doubleheader happening today. Doubleheader in Atlanta. Going to let us know who the Milwaukee Brewers will be facing coming up tomorrow in game 1 of the wild card round. It's all happening in Wisconsin sports. Badgers played. Hey, man, they played hard in that first half. A real good first half. Not going to talk about the last 30 minutes. There was a moment in time there where post-game show host was potentially looking at 56-0 over 4 consecutive quarters. Thank you, Jaden Reed and Jordan Love, for making it 56-7, and a great comeback as the game was brought to a halt and much more fun in the second half, but a little short for the green and gold. 31-29 the loss. Your reaction on the NicolaLaw.com talking text line at 414-799-1973. We'll get to the phones, get to the texts on the other side. John Kuhn, Billy Schmidt, Armin Sarian. It's 9 to noon statewide on the game. Timely audio clip from Armin Sarian as we hit the NicoletLaw.com talking text line. Packers lose 31-29. It's 9 to noon. Coon, Billy, and Armin with you on the game. John, right away, I wanted to get to JB and Milton's text on the talking text line. Where he goes, what I don't understand is why the Packers paid Josh Jacobs when they paid him to essentially use him as a part-time running back. He is a much, much, much more talented back than Emmanuel Wilson. Jacobs needs to be the focal point of that offense. Otherwise, they are wasting that talent, and somewhat of the answer maybe right there that clean up some of the protection issues, and then maybe we see more of Josh Jacobs in the second half. Or did I hear that wrong potentially from the head coach? Because I don't really understand.
Oh man, I didn't think we would hit Josh Jacobs rushing attempts this early in the season.
Come on now.
I mean, we did it with Aaron Jones every game, every single game. Here we go. Let's get total. Oh, that's a terrible way to do your rushing stats. I'm going to find some rushing stats here, but unfortunately it's got them listed inside the 20, inside the 10, inside the 5. So I can't even really pull them up here.
So I got,
but Josh Jacobs right there inside the 20, 11 attempts there we
go.
Inside the 20, 6 attempts inside the 10, 4 attempts inside the 5. Okay. So there you go. No, this is what I'm going to, there are games that get carried away. I was begging for Matt LaFleur to keep running the ball.
You said on the broadcast
when we were down 28 points.
I was just going to say
said it on the broadcast. I said, I can feel it. I can just like Phil Collins says, I can feel it coming in the air.
Oh yeah.
Right. It was just, it was starting to get the, okay, time to put the cape on Jordan Love and do your thing. And I've seen this happen a lot of times with Aaron Rodgers, and it's a natural habit, right?
Yes.
You gotta try and start running, hurry up. At the time, there was 7 minutes left in the first half. 7 minutes left in the first half. And to their benefit, they scored the touchdown. So they got it to 28-7. And then they come out. I don't remember what they did on the first drive. Did they even attempt a pass on the first drive in the second half? A rush
run. I know they threw on first down. I believe
Jacobs off left guard on the first down play, then throw to Jacobs on the second down play, and then throw on the second or on the third play. That's the one that was overturned on Wicks.
But then they got it back. But then they got it back again, John, and didn't. I think that was where, and you came in with the hit on the network that said,
back-to-back incompletions on the next one too. On the 3 and out.
There is time we can calm down and try and run the ball, because Jacobs averaged 5.5 yesterday, actually. So, which is obviously really good.
But my point is, the game gets away from you, and again, the game got away from you because of how the game started, and the game could have started differently had you had a different set. I can bet you anything. Listen, these coaches, they don't just on a whim. They don't just make these decisions on a whim. They grind and they die over every formation, motion, shift, play call. What are they going to do for the first 15? I mean, the first 15 plays of a ball game, they spend so much time on.
The script,
Are we going to take the ball? What's the wind going to be? What's the weather going to be? How's this game going to unfold? Do we need a set of circumstances? Do we need a script? Like, against the Colts, we got a backup quarterback plan. We need a script to play out. How do we play this script out? Play it out beautifully this week. Hey, maybe they saw Jordan was a little rusty at practice. Maybe he was. And maybe they said, hey, we're going to keep him out of harm's way early. Right? We're going to kick the ball and we're going to play good defense. And you know what? That part of the script didn't come to fruition. The defense didn't hold up their end of the bargain. Now the defense came to play in the second half. Defense came to play in the second half, played hard. But maybe the part of the script that Matt LaFleur needed to play out yesterday was, hey, I need to ease Jordan into this. He's a little bit rusty. I saw it at practice. We're going to put on the defense early. Coach, we don't have Ja. We don't have Carrington Valentine. So what? Right?
Same thing.
We next man up. We got to play. We're at home. We're at home here. Just don't let them behind you, right? Keep everything in front of you. No, it didn't work. So, yeah, it was a combination of everything in this ballgame. But, man, we got some great stuff, some great questions from Nunes.
Big ones.
So let's go ahead and keep hitting them.
So let's fire off to Paul in the 262. He said, why on earth was Love allowed to play? He was hobbling on that first drive. He couldn't follow through on any of his passes. Malik had the hot hand. Willis 2-0. Love 0-2. Always go with the hot hand. Now the Pack is screwed for the foreseeable future and stuck with a lame horse riding a Bronco. All hail our new king, Malik Willis. Paul, from
the horse is the Bronco.
I think he's messing around here, right?
This has got to be a troll or a joke or an engagement farming.
This is satire. This
their
is not
engagement
real.
farming on the Talking Text line.
He is engagement farming is exactly what he's doing.
Okay, first of all, the horse is the Bronco, so you're all messed
He's
up.
not
there.
an aggregator, but he is definitely farming.
So what are you telling me? We're never supposed to start our starter ever again? Is that what he's saying?
I mean, we did get calls on Packers OT
You-
yesterday
Armin,
saying, why
you
did
can
not
never
go
start
Malik
Jordan
Charles?
Love
They
again.
don't count.
Armin, you
Yeah,
can
Charles.
never start Jordan Love again until he wins. You can't start him until he wins.
And I don't remember him. Was he hobbled? I don't remember
You
that.
didn't get the joke.
Until he wins, right? We can't start. He
I-
can't win. He
I-
can't win if
I
he doesn't
did
start.
not
I
get
get
that.
it.
Jordan Love
Good
at
one,
the
Dad.
beginning of the game after the first sack, which was a protection error, and I'm going to say it. I didn't watch the film, but I vaguely remember the play that Matt LaFleur was talking to. Protection error on Josh Jacobs. They ran a little pick. They ran a little pick stunt. Josh's guy came down, bang, and then the defensive tackle went out, and then Josh went out to help with the defensive tackle, tried to pass his man off, but his man was on the hip. You can't pass off a man who's on the hip. He's got to be in front. He's got to be front on his guy. Passed him off, and then his guy got the sack on Jordan Love. I remember that play. And yes, that's why if you can't protect the quarterback, three things. It always says this: running backs rules. Protect the football, number one.
Mm-hmm.
Protect the quarterback, number two. Think about that. The top two are protect the ball and protect the quarterback, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I don't even know what number three is because those are the only two I ever paid attention to. Protect the football, protect the quarterback. There's a third one on there. Don't know what
Don't
it is.
worry about it. Nobody cares about it because guess what? It ain't happening. Now, I do wonder, and there were a couple of people that are already calling in and shooting their text off with Tristan Wausau. How about Gary being MIA? One again, a little bit up here, Matt in Milwaukee. Is Rashawn Gary overrated? Is he not a DN that can't line up all over the defensive line and make plays? Where is he? Where's Rashawn Gary once again? So a lot of people still on the frustration side saying that they weren't able to get after Sam Darnold. John, even to your point on how the game script goes, they pressured Darnold to get him out of the pocket on that second down play on the first series. And he throws the ball right into Isaiah McDuffie's chest as he's going down to the ground. Like, there were opportunities right there for the game to completely flip early.
Yeah, and we talk about the game of inches, the game of circumstance, and the game of bounces, right? None of the bounces went our way. I'm not going to cry about it. I'm not making an excuse about it. It's true. It's what happened. It's why you lost, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't squeeze in an interception that hits you in the hands. He was diving for it, but it was very catchable. You make plays like that when you're 100% locked in. And you know what? When the first guy makes a locked-in play, then the second guy makes a locked-in play. It's funny how momentum works in sports, and it just trickles down. Yesterday, the Packers didn't have it, especially didn't have it in the first half. As for Rashawn Gary, he needs to make a play. I understand he does have a sack this year. It got overturned because of a penalty, but we need to make a play here, Rashawn. I think this is the problem with this game. Now, he couldn't get a sack against Tennessee because everybody else was just getting to the quarterback faster. Everybody and their mom was sacking Will Levis.
And one got called back, and he was involved with some other ones in that Tennessee game.
And the first two games, you had a situation where you're trying to protect against the running quarterback, a quarterback that can get out of the pocket. So we give it the benefit of the doubt the first 2 weeks. Week 3, everybody 8 sacks. I'm not going to blame you for not getting a sack when the rest of the team gets 8. Okay, I mean they're just getting their first. But yesterday needed to be a Rashawn Gary game, and a little bit, Jeff Hafley couldn't put him in the stand-up position and move him around on that front. Like I want to see him used more as. I want to see him get put across from the center in a stand-up situation on third down. Couldn't do that. You know why? Because Minnesota kind of dictated the sticks, kind of dictated the series.
On obvious passing downs, Packers, we needed to get more pressure and didn't do it. I think that's fair to say, no doubt about it. There was the third and long early to Naylor, I think that that they hit, and then obviously the touchdown. Those seem to be early back.
And there were some clean pockets, dude. That's a better offensive line than I was giving him credit for. Darrisaw's a legit player on the outside, but I thought they were gettable up the middle. Garrett Bradbury has had to say he's had issues with Kenny Clark in the past is an understatement, and he played well yesterday. Vikings played well yesterday. Like Josh and Fredonia said, maybe the Vikings are good too. Maybe. Yeah, I think they're a decent football team. I do think the Packers made them look much better than they are yesterday. And all right, now we get to it. Joe from Wausau. 2-part question. Are we going to have a new kicker by Sunday?
Took that long for this question.
Brian. But I'm not going to lie. That's a great question. And you know what? We talked about having patience with Braden Narvison. I don't know. I think the sands in that patient hourglass are really low. Yeah. Really low.
They say the saying in the hourglass, so go the days of our lives. So it might go the days of you being on the Green Bay Packers. Might be going back to, where's it, Fremont, Wisconsin?
What's
Is
that?
that where his wife's from?
I can't remember, honestly.
Got a Wisconsin.
Feel
got
bad.
Wisconsin ties. Sorry.
Honestly,
Sorry,
you got to
Narc.
also
Still love him kicking in that
You
in
got
the
to
hat
feel
on the
bad.
sidelines.
Yes, Armin, you got to feel bad. This is a
I
full
feel
month.
bad for
This
him.
is he's missed
Well,
a kick every game, every single. He has 4 misses, 5. 1 got reversed.
Yep.
He's got 5 misses right.
Yes.
Of the field goal
And
post.
you have
and when you have the same miss, that's scary.
But you also
when you got a tight, you got a
are.
problem. When you got a type of miss, you got a problem.
Yeah, and when you have to consider though also what your options are. If there's, I understand.
What happened to Greg Joseph?
Well, I actually liked Greg Joseph. So I don't. Is he still out there? I mean,
he kicked 5 for 5 on Thursday night.
He's kicking for the Giants.
The Giants.
Kicking for the Giants.
That's what I thought. Right.
It's good enough to be in the
NFL. Is Anders still there? Out there?
Well, Matt Schneidman might be able to tell us where Anders Carlson is, because last week he spotted him while he was on with us at 10 o'clock. So maybe he'll spot Anders Carlson again coming up this weekend, or maybe spotting another Packers kicker landing at 1265 to get ready for a tryout here today before tomorrow's open day.
It's just tough because you have to consider options. If you're going to make a move like that, is there a better option? And there might very well be. Listen, I had a dream last night. It was hailing. I think that was a sign that maybe the hailstorm.
Oh, maybe it's the hailstorm's opportunity now.
I don't know. Maybe we got to wait one more game. We'll see.
Did you really have that dream?
Yeah, it was weird.
Wow.
He's got weird dreams, dude.
Weird dreams, man. Weird dreams.
Was Butchie in this one?
Not this one, no.
Has a dream ever been a premonition of something that was going to happen for one of your sports teams?
I don't think so. I really don't, John. I try to analyze these things, and it's just a fool's errand. You can't figure out.
What makes you think
Fool's
this one
errand.
is?
I love that.
I don't. I don't. In fact, I think Braden's they're gonna stick with him at least for another. They're gonna stick with him.
Oh, so that's what the hailstorm dream was,
you can
was telling you.
Keep changing out kickers, and then if you get guys that are gonna miss kicks eventually because they're street kickers, scrap heap kickers, you're gonna get those results.
Hey, let's hit Joe's second part of his question. The Vikings, how much of the comeback was the Vikings changing their game script, and how much was it to do with the heart and the talent of the Packers? 99% heart and talent of Packers.
There we go. I like that a lot.
Teams don't go 28-0 halfway through the second quarter and then say, all right, let's take our foot off the gas. Let's just preserve this win. No, they don't do that. They don't, not in the NFL. Not in the NFL. I've never seen it happen one time.
I like it. Big change for the Green Bay Packers in that second half. How much of it can be passed into next week when they go out to Lipstick City and take on the Los Angeles Rams at SoFi? We'll talk about all of it coming up. Still, your reactions on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line go around the NFL in about 45 minutes from right now. 15 minutes away from Matt Schneidman. You next, and your reactions to Packers and Vikings on 9 to noon. Stay wide on the game.
You're up.
Welcome back. It's 9 to noon on the game. Difficult day. Our guy Dan in the 715 was all over the talking text line yesterday during Packers OT, and he just hit us back with, "I'm still bitter." Dan, feel you, man. It's a tough day. Hate losing.
It's hard.
Hate losing. All right. Winning is so much better, especially because there's victory chicken on a Monday, guys.
Sure.
Here on 9 to noon, much better. But dang, you really hate losing to that team. And I will say it with as much purple in the crowd as there was yesterday.
Oh, that was brutal.
Now, I will say, John, you were on the field.
We're not allowed to say that, though, right? We're not allowed to say no. There was a decent amount of purple there. Decent amount. Wasn't as bad as the Detroit fans. Wasn't as bad as Detroit last year and the year before. That was a surprising one. But there was a decent amount of purple there. It's a divisional game. Listen, Packer fans travel well.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to hate on the amount of purple that's there when there's green and gold in every other stadium. It is what it is.
The purple is just a frustrating sight.
It's just frustrating, but there's always going to be.
I will
Vikings
say,
fans
I
at
was
Vikings
surprised they
games.
weren't hitting the skull more into the second half. I was very, very happy that toned down
because
because
the tide started to change.
Yeah.
continuing. You could tell that there was some nervous energy with the purple people that were still staying amidst the Packers fans that had already hit the exits there into the fourth quarter.
They were puckering. I get home after the broadcast is over. I see my guy Frank, who always rides his bike around. And Frank's a great guy around the condo complex. He used to be the condo president.
What's he do for a living?
Does
he drive trucks?
I don't know exactly, but
used to be the condo president. Did you get him
fired
fired or something?
I didn't, but he's a salt of the earth guy.
At him?
He helps the old ladies when they need
fired.
to get, when they need any help around the house. Like, he's always helping everybody out,
Nice. Okay.
He's a great dude, and he loves the Vikings. He's always wearing his Vikings jacket. And I see him, and I said, "Hi, you got us today." He goes, Yeah. Well, you know what? That was a terrible game. That was a terrible way to end it. I mean, we almost blew that right away, this and that. So even Vikings fans were puckering yesterday. I mean, judging by his reaction, you would have thought he lost. I'm just saying that's the other perspective. So there was a pucker factor there. They we're going to blow this thing. We can't do the skull. So I do wish Packer fans would have stayed through the whole. I didn't like seeing some fans leaving early. Don't like seeing that. It's a noon game at 68 degrees. You don't have an excuse. I don't care for losing. Stick out with your team. Stick it out with your team and support them all the way, please. Thank you.
I just want to know, would the green package have done that?
Yeah, I don't know, John. And I spent all week defending it, all Packer fans, and because all Packer fans matter. And I don't know, man. That was a little disappointing. It was 20-0.
Just hit us with an APFM.
All Packer fans matter. Okay.
APFM.
Yeah.
All Packer fans matter.
Because he wants to bury the gold package, but can't because he's never been to a game in 15 years. So I mean, for him to leave early,
I mean, don't leave early, please. You don't have to get home. It's not a night game. I know it was 28-0. Don't do that to your team.
We have to make sure it's APFM.
APFM. Can we print shirts for that?
Sure, all fans.
I mean, I know there's no money in shirts, but
there's
I
no money in shirts.
APFM.
No money. No.
APFM. Go ask around, see if we can get those bad boys printed up.
And then the wave was going on. That really hurt me too. Don't do the wave either. But then again, it's 20.
So a lot of great fan shaming.
Right, I can't
sitting
do that
in your air-conditioned studio over here.
Right, like I can't tell someone to stay at a game or down and then not try and have fun still. So I should say those two theories are not congruous. So I gotta watch myself.
Love this jersey that Black Rob in Waupun sent in. Seeing this at the game, my man customized this Coon jersey and added like 12 U's.
Yeah, but
that's awesome.
Didn't one of our Nooners do that already? Didn't they steal that idea?
They had one with a Nooner on the back. Their name was Nooner.
I think that's JB. That's JB.
Awesome. We got great listeners, man.
The best.
We got great listeners.
And they're upset today,
awesome.
But we get it. We're all upset today.
No,
so
listen,
we're
they
not
are
taking
upset. It's our job to,
Yeah.
Let them feed us some of the BS they're going to feed us. Get it off their chest, and then talk the others off the cliff. I mean, this is what we do.
We're all making ourselves feel better. But get it out, let it go. All these overreactions, you won't be held fully accountable, only somewhat accountable. Match 9 will be held fully accountable for what he says on the other side when he joins us hour 2, because he's a journalist.
Big J journalist.
Big J journalist. So he comes in with the facts. Like when he walked in and asked Matt LaFleur, hey, about this running back room, why were you guys sharing carries? I got the numbers right here. It looked like you guys were this, that, and the third. So we're going to ask him about the questions. He asked Matt LaFleur yesterday about his observations of Packers and Vikings from yesterday and how on earth you get better so that this doesn't happen when you go and face off against the now 1-3 LA Rams in Los Angeles coming up 3:25 this upcoming Sunday. Packers are 2-2. We go to hour 2. Matt Schneimann's on the other side. It's 9 to noon on the Game. Hour 2 at 9 to noon each and every Monday and Friday during the football season features Matt Schneidman. It's brought to you by Happy Place Hemp and HappyPlaceHemp.com. Everybody relax with Happy Place Hemp. Best way to elevate your hemp products is go to Elevated Hemp Solutions, HappyPlaceHemp.com. Use 25% off when you get 25% off when you use promo code Billy at checkout. Anything you need, Delta 8, Delta 9 gummies. Those are recreational for the weekend or later at night. Also, the CBN CBD gummies. Fantastic use of your CBD necessities for kind of everyday use as well. If you're needing some better sleep at night, use promo code Billy at HappyPlaceHemp.com and get those discounts and get yourself feeling a lot better. So when we get to week 5, second quarter of the NFL season, you're feeling much better than the 2-2 Packers are after the first quarter of the season here, after the 31-29 loss yesterday. The Minnesota Vikings. Matt Schneidman's with us now of The Athletic and the Matt Schneidman Show, star of the Matt Schneidman Show. Matt, yesterday, as you're watching that high above at Lambeau Field, seeing the first half or the fight in the second half, what was more of your prevailing sentiment? The fight the Packers showed in the second half or the mistakes that allowed it to get to 28-0 in the first?
I think definitely the mistakes. And, I think they can take some solace in the fact that they fought back and made that a game, but they lost. So that's what you have to take away from it. There are far too many mistakes. 7 of their 8 penalties came in the first half. They now rank tied for 3rd in the NFL in penalties against them. That obviously needs to get cleaned up. Jordan Love with some uncharacteristic decisions by him. He said himself after the game that he was the reason, or a big reason at least, that they fell behind in such a hole. He said his accuracy, his ball placement was a little all over the place, was how he described it. They obviously struggled a little bit guarding Justin Jefferson without Jair Alexander, who I felt would have probably shadowed Jefferson more often than not. But you're never going to give yourselves a good chance to win a game when you go down 21-0 after 3 possessions and 28-0 before you put any points on the board.
Matt, were you kind of surprised with the way, and I believe this to be true. Listen, there was rust out of Jordan Love, but the throws from both Love and Darnold, were affected by the wind. That was clear. They were affected somewhat by the wind. Do you think that, in hindsight, Matt LaFleur, maybe taking the wind, maybe choosing to receive the football with the way that this thing played out?
No, I don't think so. I think over the last year or so, the Packers have, just off the top of my head, seemed like they choose to receive when they have a statement to make or underdogs in a game, like against the Lions on Thanksgiving last year. They wanted a spark early. I think with the way the defense has played the last couple of weeks, the Packers felt they could get a stop early. And I'm not saying Matt LaFleur looks at the line before the game, but they and the Vikings came in relatively even this game. And I think he felt the Packers defense could get a stop early and then, put them in a position to double up at halftime, which they kind of were in anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I don't think that was probably a big difference maker. I think Matt LaFleur has a bunch of other stuff on his would have done that list other than, what he chose to do after winning the toss.
Oh, really? Like what?
Like, not getting the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, stopping.
But in hindsight, that hurt nothing. If anything, it lifted the team
I know,
up.
but I'm not saying like what he specifically would have done differently. I'm more so saying what he would have liked to see differently. Although he did, lament that, getting, your field goal kicker to make kicks, although he can't really do anything about that. Stopping the pass, getting the running game going a little bit more. There were a lot of things when
you got to run to get the running
in a 28-0 hole that you say, okay, we could have done that better. Sure. Maybe he's sitting there and saying, I do regret, not taking the ball because it would have gotten them off to a better start. But also, like, if Isaiah McDuffie doesn't drop that interception, the game starts completely differently. So there are a bunch of things the Packers can say what if about.
Yeah, I look at it like this, right? Let's say the series kind of play out similarly, but you take the football and maybe Minnesota's crazy and they decide they're going to kick, into the wind as well and give you the win. So not only do you get the ball, but you get the
wind. That was a nice double.
Well.
Yeah.
And you walk and you march it down the field. Maybe Narveson doesn't miss because he's kicking with the wind instead of into the win like he was kicking his first one. Now you're up 3-0. And Minnesota, they haven't played with any real deficit this year, only 5 plays as the team with the deficit. So I just think that's an interesting nuance to the game, that it started off so poorly and actually played completely in the Vikings' favor. Now, what do you think the big turn was in the second half? Why do you think the Packers were able to mount that comeback in the second half?
Well, they started playing cleaner. Like I said, only one of their penalties came in the second half. That was Tucker Kraft's hold that negated that big Emmanuel Wilson run.
That would have been
Jordan Love was more accurate. I rewatched the game last night. I'd have to watch it a little closer. I'd imagine the Vikings were playing, and actually Matt LaFleur did say this after the game, the Vikings were playing a bunch of too high, as one would expect they do when they have such a big lead to prevent explosives. But the Packers were still able to generate a couple of those, which Matt LaFleur complimented after the game. And then their defense kind of bowed up a little bit. They were able to get stops. Their secondary played better, apart from, that drive after the Packers cut it to 6. They let Jefferson get open a couple times. But they just played cleaner, more disciplined football. And the first half was anything but that.
Seeing as much pressure as the Vikings were able to get early, there's a lot of people that are wondering if maybe a less hobbled quarterback in the back end would have been the right decision. The Facebook pages are going wild right now with, King Willis could have been able to lead that thing to victory. Did you guys see the edit that we got on the talking text line of Malik Willis sitting on a throne? There's fans, Matt, that will say, and we got a lot of them last night that were, they wanted a package for Malik Willis potentially being there. What's your combatants to the Jordan Love? Because the rust was a little bit evident maybe early, or more was that just the pressure that the Vikings were putting on?
Probably a little bit of both. I know some people noted that he couldn't, plant fully with his left foot. I didn't look too closely at that, but who knows? That might have been part of the reason why he was short on some of these short to intermediate throws, like ones to Wicks or Jaden Reed, on that swing pass where, yes, these are all drops. The Packers coaches are going to grade them as drops, but Jordan Love said it himself. He put his receivers in, bad positions with some of his ball placements.
Yeah, both can be true. Yep.
And I would agree. Yeah, both can be true. I agree. Malik Willis, I think it was
which side. Real quick on that though, with both being true, which one's worse? Which one's worse? The quarterback not being able to put the ball there, or I tend to think that was a game that the receivers needed to pick Jordan Love up on.
Once the ball touches your hands, you got to make it.
John, I think it's a case of yes, you would like more perfect ball placement from Jordan Love, but the receivers still have to catch the ball. That's why the coaches grade it as a drop anytime the ball hits your hands. Like, would you have liked Dontavian Wicks to catch that third down one where he was open near the left sideline but had to dive for it? Yeah, he still got to catch that, get his hands under it. Should Jaden Reed
hit him in the chest?
Yeah, exactly.
That would have been
a touchdown.
Yeah.
The fact that a ball is a rescue ball doesn't mean it shouldn't have been caught. To your point, Matt, right? I mean, I think that's the point there.
Right. The 4th and 8 from the 32-yard line. Should Jordan Love have seen Wicks on the hole shot earlier in the play when he was wide open? Yeah. Should he have thrown it? Yeah. But Wicks still has to come up with kind of that quote-unquote jump ball in the end zone. Yes, the defender's arm is a little bit there, but it still hits Wicks right in the chest.
And there was a lot of armchair litigation on Jordan Love's throws, I think, from people because they were more focused on it because he was coming back from injury. But I don't know about you guys. I always thought he had a tendency.
And it was windy. Why is
well,
nobody listening to the wind had an effect yesterday?
That's true. I always thought he had a tendency to throw off his back foot anyway a lot as a quarterback. He does
far
that.
more than most guys.
That doesn't mean,
and he's pretty darn accurate with it.
Right. So to me, it didn't mean he couldn't plant off his left foot. I don't know. There was some rustiness, but overall, he threw for almost 400 yards. I mean, I think that he would like to get the late pick was a mistake. He'd like to have that one back. Obviously, the hospital ball to Watson wasn't not a good idea.
Probably like to have that one back.
So, but I think overall, it wasn't. He was terrible. They moved the ball on the first drive. They're down 14-0 after the missed field goal. I don't know. I think
obviously any Brian Flores defense is going to bring pressure. I think they generated pressure on a little over 40% of their snaps, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the Vikings came into the game with the highest sack percentage in the league and only sacked Love once. Like, for how hobbled his knee probably is, and he admitted that it's not 100% strength, I thought he stood in the pocket and showed composure and, maneuvered throughout the pocket and even got out a couple times, even if it wasn't scrambling himself. Well, I thought, the Packers offensive line held up well for the most part. Sometimes the pocket got smaller, but it never really truly collapsed against him. The one sack the Vikings had, and they only had one, which is impressive, was when Jordan Love, there was pressure, obviously, but he tried spinning out of it and thought he could get away. And that sack isn't on him, but he also tried to make something out of a play when nothing was really there. So would Malik Willis have fared any better? Probably not. And sure, it's a fun idea for Malik Willis to be incorporated in the game plan, even when Love's back. But like I said with you guys last week, the question I got was for goal line packages specifically. And if you bring Malik Willis in on the goal line, that takes away the option of a pass because you're not bringing Willis in to pass it over Love. So there are only two options. Malik keeps it or, the Packers run it. Whereas if Jordan Love's in, you have all three options. Love can run it, he can hand it off, and he can pass. So it just makes things easier for the defense, in my mind, if you bring Willis in, and you're not going to have packages where you have both of them on the field at the same time.
Or do you? Man, that would be crazy. Wildcat with Willis, put him back there, put Jordan Love out at wide receiver. If they don't, I bet you Jordan Love can catch a 7-yard pass. I bet you he can run 7 yards into the end zone and just turn around. If they don't respect Jordan Love, Malik Willis can throw it to him. I would bet Malik Willis as a backup quarterback can throw to Jordan Love, and Jordan Love as a starting quarterback can catch that for a touchdown. I bet we could do this.
I hope
we could find a way. We could find a way. I could put this package together. I could put it together.
Do we not remember Jordan Love's package almost ripping in half when he tried to catch it?
Present it in a PowerPoint to Matt LaFleur. See what we can get going here.
The Emmanuel Wilson double pass last year.
Yeah.
When Jordan Love almost
lost his package.
It was a little too much.
Yeah, his package was almost.
That was a little early for the kid, though. That was a little early, okay? It was only his fourth game. Give him a damn break.
Well, didn't McCarthy...
And he didn't have the right spikes on it. I maintained you got to have the right spikes on at Lambeau Field.
Didn't McCarthy split Peppers out wide in New Orleans, John? And Aaron hit him in the chest, and I went for a
in the chest. Doinked it right off his chest, and we lost that game.
I remember thinking to myself, I bet this sounded brilliant on paper. I don't know.
And how do you think I felt standing 1 yard away from the end zone having to pass pro?
Sometimes on paper, his Bakhtiari touchdown was going to be awesome.
Yeah, sometimes you don't have to.
That was the big missed opportunity.
That was another one, but sometimes you don't have to out-trick them. You can just go with your regular stuff and win. Sometimes.
Yesterday wasn't that day. Vikings were really, really good, especially in the pass game. How difficult, obviously, you're without Carrington Valentine, Jair Alexander. It's going to be a difficult day covering. I didn't think Eric Stokes played particularly bad. Matt, what did you see out of the secondary? Because especially into the second half, they eliminated a lot of the big plays, but in the gotta have it moments, it was back to Jefferson once you had it within a 6-point game in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's actually the part of my story today that I'm on right now. Just, some loose observations from the game. He didn't put up the gaudiest stat line he ever has against the Packers, but having Jair Alexander still would have helped. And what did Jeff Hafley say last Thursday? And this was after I talked to you guys. It was basically Jeff Hafley saying, if we need to get unconventional and put our best player on their best player, we need to do that. He said, I'm not, full of myself enough to think a scheme can stop one player. If he didn't say name specifically, and I don't think he was asked specifically about Jair, but he basically said, I'm putting Jair on Justin Jefferson. That's worked for the Packers in the past. The same season when not shadowing him didn't work. Yes, Eric Stokes and Keyshawn Nixon could have played better, and Jair probably rectifies some of those struggles. Like on that drive after they cut it to 6, Nixon is in man, it looks like, and just can't stay with him on a crosser, 17 yards. And then the Vikings run a tight end crosser from the other side while Jefferson runs one from the slot on the near side, and Stokes gets caught up in the cluster in the middle of the field as the tight end runs the crosser from the other side, and that's what leaves Jefferson wide open for another 27 yards. On the touchdown, Nixon had good coverage. It was just an even better throw and catch. He can't do anything about that.
I can tell you, if you're running crossing routes with any receiver top 20 in the league and you're running man coverage, they're going to get away more times than not. When you're running crossing routes with man coverage, it's on the pressure. You got to get home. You got to get the sack. You got to get your hands up. You got to force a bad pass because of pressure. It's up for the up front guys.
Right. And the Packers didn't get bad pressure. Well, first, let me say, one of the more costly things in the game, I think penalty-wise, was Stokes' defensive pass interference against Jefferson on that 3rd and 2 early in the game, because the Vikings would have kicked a field goal to go up 10-0. But instead,
did you like that call?
Did I like the pass interference call?
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I haven't looked closely at what Stokes did.
I just logged it. I need to see the all-22, what the actual film looks. I'm telling you, from my vantage point, and I was standing directly beside him. I mean, I might have been 6 yards away. Justin Jefferson's arms are extended.
He pushed off.
Pushing Eric Stokes. If Eric Stokes does not hold Justin Jefferson, he easily turns around, catches that, and scores a touchdown because he's being pushed off. Now, I got a question, and this is for everybody here. Do you want to see Eric Stokes in that moment hold and battle because the best receiver potentially in the game is pushing off on you? Or do you want to see him flop and draw the push-off foul?
Maybe.
I thought that should have been a double foul on both guys. Play, continued.
Yeah, defensive players are at a complete disadvantage in today's game. So that's interesting that you say that. I'll have to take a closer look at that play. But bottom line is, Jefferson didn't quote unquote go off, but he still got his and then some. And I think it would have been easier for the Packers to guard him if they had Jair Alexander as opposed to 2 corners and Nixon and Stokes, who have had their fair share of struggles over the last year or so.
Yeah,
but,
Jefferson.
You mentioned the pass rush. The numbers say the Packers actually got decent pressure. They, pressured Darnold on about 37% of his dropbacks, which that would be, top 10 pressure percentage in the league, but they didn't get home. And, we saw last week, you got to get home. Pressure is nice. It affects plays, but you got to be able to get home.
I'm never a big advocate on pressure unless something ensues, right? If you pressure and that leads to a bad pass, if you pressure and it leads to a tip ball,
right.
If you pressure and it leads to a sack, then I'm an advocate for pressure. But pressure as a statistic is very misleading. You know why? Because quarterbacks are taught, hold the football until your guys get open. If quarterbacks just wanted to get rid of the ball and not have pressure in their face, if they weren't taught to be calm under that pressure, then yeah, pressure would mean something. But it means nothing if it doesn't, lead to some sort of positive play for the defense.
Right. And there was that one play, and Sam Darnold was quicker than I imagined. There was that one play where they almost sacked him like twice on the same play, I think, with Preston Smith, and he got out and scrambled for a first down. So that's a pressure.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that.
But ultimately, what ends a play is a sack.
Yeah, and I also think on obvious passing downs, the Packers didn't. It is anecdotal, but didn't get enough pressure on obvious passing downs where they hit some 3rd and longs early. And I think that maybe it improved in the second half. Obviously, the Vikings didn't score as much, and that's maybe why the numbers changed. But, I mean, it was a weird game in that sense. I mean, the Packers were outgaining and outpossessing the Vikings at one point, down 21, if I'm not mistaken. So there were weird parts of that game.
Well, okay, so let's bring it up, Matt. Let's just play where have they gone? Braden Narvison, what's going on with him?
Yeah, I was a little surprised with how much confidence LaFleur expressed in him after the game. And I understand he's a young rookie kicker. I understand there's a figuring things out process. They like his foundation, how he goes about his business, kind of, the contact he makes with the ball, but we're picking at straws now. He's missed four field goals in 4 games.
Oh, 5.
It would have been, according to the stat sheets for it, would have been 5 if, the Titans hadn't, committed that pull and shoot penalty or whatever the heck it was called. I think there's a reason I'm not a general manager, because I would be too reactionary and cut him today. And Brian Gutekunst, admittedly, is not as patient with specialists as he thinks he should be. I don't think the Packers right now cut ties with him, especially after pulling the plug with the guy they drafted last year in Anders Carlson. But that patience that they've expressed in Narvison in the past couple of weeks has to be running thin. Every kick is wide right. Again, we've said it before, and Brian Gutekunst implied this when he spoke to us after roster cutdown day. He didn't say this verbatim, but he basically said we have too good of a team for an inconsistent kicker to cost us. It did in part last year, and there were a lot of things that cost them yesterday, but at the end of the day, they lost a game by 2 points where they missed 2 field goals. You can't go through this season with how good this roster is top to bottom allowing an inexperienced, inconsistent kicker to cost you.
Because here's the deal, too. If he makes one of those kicks yesterday and you win by 1, now you're 3-1. You're tied for the lead in the NFC North. Now you're 2.5 games behind the Minnesota Vikings, let alone the Lions playing tonight. There are a lot of ramifications that go, but you could find yourself again in not a great situation at the end of the year with the same kicker and in that spot because of this. I do like being patient with kickers. I do love giving them a full test. And maybe this was just a bad month, but Matt, he's missed a kick in every game. Even if he had a mulligan, he's missed a kick in every game. What about Rashawn Gary?
Yeah, that's one I'm interested in because obviously the fan base is up in arms about him. I need to go back and watch the tape before giving a full answer because there were some plays that he did well against the run, like Aaron Jones near the goal line. He played well there. He got some pressure. I need to go back and look for a more accurate answer because it's easy to just pile on and say, oh, he doesn't have the sacks. He's not affecting the quarterback for how much they're paying him. And sure, you need the sacks from him. I need to go back and look how much he's being chipped and double teamed for more accurate representation. But you would like to see him, and same with Kenny Clark, get in the stat column more. But then again, Jeff Hafley gave an adamant defense of Kenny Clark last Thursday, saying we wouldn't have had those 8 sacks if it wasn't for Kenny Clark. Look at the double teams he's taken on. Look how he's defending the run. I'd imagine he'd have a similar answer for Gary, but I'll wait to give a more full answer when I get the numbers on how much he's being double teamed, how much he's being chipped. But I did see a couple just one-on-one reps where Rashawn Gary's getting dominated. I'd need to pay a closer attention to him on every play, which I didn't do when I rewatched the game since I'm kind of looking at it from a 30,000 foot angle. But yeah, fans are always going to key in on a guy who's making that much money, and perhaps rightfully so.
I can't help but think that these guys are going to be out for a while after watching their injuries. Christian Watson, Devontae Wyatt. Which one's going to hurt more?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know about Wyatt. I know Rappaport reported Watson is going to be out a couple weeks. I might say Wyatt might hurt them more just because they don't have the same depth on the defensive line that they do at wide receiver. And Matt LaFleur didn't make it seem like Jair is a lock to play next week either.
Do we know
what is going on?
Here?
Right? Yeah, what the quad, the groin, what the hell? I mean, are they connected? I mean,
I don't know. He got injured in practice on Thursday. That's what happened.
Oh, it did happen at practice on Thursday.
It did happen at practice on Thursday, yes. And something to keep an eye on this week as it pertains to that is, does Cooper Kupp come back from, I believe, what's been a 3-game absence? No Puka Nacua this Sunday. Cooper Kupp, probably questionable.
Is he on IR? No? Are you?
No, he's not.
Oh, wow. That's a concern. That's a concern for Packer fans and for me. I'm concerned.
Yeah, Jay Glazer yesterday did report that Cooper Kupp is expected to miss at least the Week 5 game against the Packers still. And Puka Nacua is, in his report yesterday, was out until Week 8. But we'll definitely keep an eye on that one because that definitely changes that game up because they are way less explosive when it's DeMarcus Robinson as their number 1 wide receiver.
And Glazer's got sources. He's got,
he's fighting with all these guys, right? There's kickboxing and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
Glazer's who we all strive to be. Get in the know.
Yeah, I guess once I go bald.
Look at Matt disagrees. Oh yeah, you got to shave it.
Yeah. So Matt, I like to cut off sleeves. Is that because you're now cutting off the regular season? It's Yankees playoff time. It's now time to really start working.
No, it's because I'm going to the gym.
Right okay, that's what I'm talking about.
Do you get a
making a Yankee hat more famous than a Yankee can? That's what I'm talking about.
Do you get a better workout if the sleeves are off? Does that affect the workout?
No, it just makes me feel better about myself.
You work out with a cap on, you psycho? Is that what you do?
Just looks cooler.
You're a total gym with a hat on.
I wear hats. You don't wear hats when you work out?
In the gym?
No, I don't go to the gym. I don't know.
I just
that is psychopath.
No, my hair was just a mess, John. If my hair was like yours, I wouldn't wear a hat because I don't need to cover bad hair. My hairline stinks. My hair's all over the place.
Hey, shoot the shots you want to shoot. Goodness gracious.
No, Armin, that wasn't an insult. I'm saying if I had a clean, flat cut like John, I wouldn't be as self-conscious about my messed up hair as I am.
The way it came out, okay.
Armin's just always got the cape.
John has short hair.
I understand now.
Armin can't get all messed up.
I like that cape.
Yeah. Listen, Armin, don't try and throw a wrench in between us. John, when are we recording our podcast today?
I got to, Well, it's
To
either
be-
today at 1 or tomorrow at 1. That's what you said. So
Okay,
I
let
gotta
me
pick
know.
between those two. I will. I will let you know soon.
I won't try and
He's got to
throw
go
a
to the
wrench.
gym. So figure out, make
He's
sure you
gotta go to
let
the
him
gym.
go. Let him know when. All right,
You
Matt.
got, you got time. You got 3 hours at the gym. Go
All right.
get it in.
Go get it in, and we'll hear you tonight on the Matt Schneidman Show.
All right, thanks, guys.
There he is, Matt Schneidman. He's going to the gym. He's going to get himself a solid workout in. Almost said get a pump in, and I didn't want, that potentially some people would be listening, and they're like, dude, it's got baby oil there?
Hey, anyway, I heard it. That's the way I heard it. I thought he was making fun of
That
your
was
hair.
awesome. That was awesome.
And,
No.
I did too.
can't do it.
I
Yeah.
thought he was too. So we heard the same thing.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
appreciate the cape, Armin.
Oh, he was ready to swing. He was ready to fight. No doubt about
Armin
it.
will take down my light work. I'm not worried about that one bit.
And that is light work. All right. We've done some heavy lifting talking Packers and Vikings. Let's go around the NFL, tell you what you missed while you're watching the 31-29 Packers loss to the Vikings yesterday. It's 9 to noon. Kuhn, Billy, and Armin stay wide on the game.
John Kuhn here for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. And I'm here to remind you it's playoff time for our Milwaukee Brewers. And what a fantastic season. New manager, some pieces that went elsewhere, some others on the IL, and yet what an outstanding season. Well, Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin want to remind you that they too finished first, but in the windows and door leagues. Pella manufactures all their own products, and each one of those products gets tested thousands of times to ensure it stands the test of time. Its quality craftsmanship and innovative design are built into every product, and you know this because you pick it for timeless beauty and performance. Pella windows and doors are also the best in their class, not only from endless styles, but from the features you cannot see. And now, how about something you cannot believe? $18 per window and $81 per patio door per month, but you got to hurry because it finishes today. It's over. Kaput, September 30th. That's when it's done. $18 per window, $81 per patio door per month. Certain restrictions apply. However, you have to go to the showroom for details. And please, when you go in, let Gina Della know that I, John Kuhn, was the one who sent you there. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Didn't have to stay up all night last night because Sunday Night Football was put to bed early.
That's for sure.
As well, Derrick Henry is still pretty good. It's 9 to noon on the game. John Kuhn, Billy Schmidt, Armin Sarian. John, I'm right there with you. Last week we were talking a lot about Josh Allen, the year that he's having. It was not the night for the 2024 MVP year for Josh Allen. However, look at it from an optimistic view, and we'll hit the investment window coming up in about a half hour from right now with Potawatomi Sportsbook. If you like him to win the MVP, now would be the time to go pounce, because
Grab it
on a down game. This is when you can get a little bit more value, because they get run last night, but that was going to be a buzzsaw in Baltimore last night in Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, what else could he have done though? I mean,
right? Like,
it's not like he went out there and he was garbage, right? Like they fell down quick. That was a buzzsaw. That was a buzzsaw from the, what was it?
87-yard touchdown.
87-yard touchdown to start the game.
He reached like a 21.5 max speed in the
like this dude. Like this dude is so ridiculous. And I maintain this. Now Baltimore's 2-2, Philadelphia's 2-2, and we talked this whole offseason. Who's the biggest free agent pickup, and why is it Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry? Right? It just is. Those two guys fit what those two teams want to do so much. And now look at what happened in Baltimore's 2 wins. Derrick Henry got rolling. Derrick Henry got going. Wasn't really rolling and going. He was going, but he wasn't really rolling and going the first couple games. Saquon, in their wins against the Packers, rolling.
Doesn't Derrick Henry
and then against the Saints, rolling again. And these two guys, these teams, when they want to use them, that's the way these teams are going to win this year. I still think Baltimore is a very good team. 2-2, very good team. Proofs in the pudding last night. Philadelphia Eagles, I still think they have a boatload of talent. Now, they played yesterday's game without 2 wide receivers and a right tackle. It's going to be tough. We played without 2 cornerbacks yesterday. You see what it looks like. And there's a little bit of something with the Eagles where I almost feel like there's something in there. There's something inside the wall. Something doesn't.
Oh, Dan Orlovsky was calling it out today. Dan Orlovsky was saying this just doesn't smell right.
Well, you saw it last year.
This tape just doesn't smell right. Doesn't smell right. Hey, man, if the season starts with us thinking that the head coach and quarterback hate each other, probably going to be exasperated, John, like you mentioned, when a Hall of Fame right tackle, who you know is going to lock everything down in Lane Johnson, and you have your 2 starting wide receivers out, it's going to be tough. But when you get pantsed like they did yesterday against Tampa, it just feels slow and sluggish, and man, it just feels weird there in the NFC East when all of a sudden the darling and the guy that's playing the best football is the 2nd overall pick, and they put up 42 yesterday.
How about that?
That Washington team is here to play, and they're going to make this thing interesting. If there's 2 teams that are leading their divisions, which one's more surprising, Vikings or Commanders? I'll go Commanders, and I'll say I'm still almost more impressed with what Washington is doing with the way Jaden Daniels is playing, John.
Yeah, I'd probably still go Vikings. Like, I did not see any of this out of Sam Darnold. I anticipated Aaron Jones to be a rock solid running back for them and be explosive. I expected Justin Jefferson to be, one of the premier wide receivers in the league. I expected their defense to be tough because they were tough last year with Flores, right? I expected those things. I didn't expect Sam Darnold to be able to manage and steer the ship as good as he has. And even yesterday with 2 turnovers, he still managed and steered that ship. He still threw that first pass there to Addison pretty damn nicely right into the end zone. So yes. I did not see that coming out of Minnesota. And, to some extent, there was some conversation around who was going to be the better rookie, Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams, who was going to have the better rookie year. And that is, through the first month of the season, most emphatically Jaden Daniels. Now, but as you talk about coaches and quarterbacks questioning each other, see what happened in New York yesterday with our friend Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, we got some audio for it. Oh, yeah. John, we got some audio.
Armin's always in his bag.
Come on now. We got some audio to play on the other side. You want to talk about quarterback and coach, get a little frustrated. The 2-2 Jets, real frustrated before they head on a bird for a long flight. Take on these Minnesota Vikings. Packers need the New York Jets against the Minnesota Vikings in London coming up on Sunday. And we'll keep it around the NFL. And we got that audio that you're not going to want to miss from old number 12, now number 8. in New York, New Jersey, and the rest around the NFL. We'll talk some Brewers baseball. We'll give you what they need to see today to see who is going to be coming here on Tuesday. And yeah, we're going to do it. All right. We'll talk about Saturday. We'll talk about what happened at the LA Coliseum because that's, you want to talk about a bad half of football? Go watch that second half. Good Lord. That was a lot of fun to do on the Badgers post game. And we'll talk about that coming up in the third hour, but we got to invest before all of that. It's 9 to noon. Stay wide on the game. 9 to noon on the game. Hanging out, talking Packers and Vikings. Disappointing 31-29 final going around the NFL as well. And we'll invest already. Look forward to week 5 and You Better You Bet. That's coming up. But right now, as we continue our look around the NFL, what you missed yesterday while watching Packers and Vikings, you were able to witness the Chicago Bears go to 2-2, beat that LA Rams squad 24-18. Caleb Williams played well enough for them to get that win, John, but that's going to be a team that, man, you're going to have to deal with this young pass rusher, Jared Verse, who had himself a day getting after Caleb Williams coming up next week. But that Rams team's going to be coming limping into the week 5 contest against the Packers.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is about this Rams team is even with the players that they have lost, I mean, they got a beat down against Arizona. They kind of walked into a buzzsaw and they lost. I believe it was Puka in that game. Had Cooper already out before that game had started. But they've got 3 really close games on their slate already against 2 really good opponents and one there tough in Chicago against the Bears. The way they lost to the Lions, the way they lost to beat the 49ers, this is a team that you could tell deep down inside, organizationally, they do things right. They do things the tough way, the hard way. They prepare the right way. And they got a quarterback that can win you a game at the end if the rest of your team puts him in position. This Rams team's a scary team, and I can't wait to watch the film and dive into it this week. But first, we got to finish wrapping up this Minnesota game.
Yeah, and wrapping up, a win would have been what the New York Jets thought they were going to do when Bo Nix, John, I don't know if you saw this stat line while you were on the sidelines yesterday. This dude went 7 for 15 for -7 yards in an entire half of football yesterday.
How do you do that, man? That is wild.
Even better, how do you win that game?
Yeah.
They win 10-9 yesterday in a slop fest monsoon that then ended up clearing up in the second half and allowed the Broncos to score 10 second half points, win the game 10-9, and leave Robert Saleh to answer about the offense, saying, maybe we got to simplify some things. It doesn't look like these guys are getting the signals. It doesn't look like they're understanding all the motions and everything like that. Maybe we got to simplify some things. Maybe we got to condense, throw out some of the stuff, make it easier. Aaron Rodgers got a piece of that, and he thought this would be the right answer. Outlier game more than anything. Maybe we need to hold ourselves accountable, Coach. What are we doing here? All right, the trouble is continuing, John. They're shoving each other after touchdowns. Now we got this. This is 4 games in. 4 games for the Broadway Jets.
Aaron Rodgers' first regular season loss after 9+ days rest.
That's right. That number's there.
Don't forget that. First time it ever happened to the hands of Robert Saleh and the New York Jets. And, you know, I saw some people say, Sean Payton coached a completely terrible game, and can only be one coach to coach a game worse than him, and it happened to be Robert Saleh on the other sideline. That's why they got this victory yesterday. Here's the deal. We don't hear the sound from Robert Saleh, and when talking about a cadence, I would imagine he was being a little facetious, a little sarcastic, maybe a little just answer the question and get the hell out of here for a reporter. And when you have those false starts, you don't blame the cadence. You're not blaming the cadence. It's not happening. I will absolutely agree that Robert Saleh and Aaron and Aaron's saying there too. Aaron knows what he's saying there. He's saying, just hold him accountable. It's an outlier. We don't need to lose our minds. It's an outlier, but we can hold him accountable versus changing cadence. They won't change the cadence. They will do it Aaron Rodgers way. And last week, they stink.
Mm-hmm.
And after you hear a lot of talk of, all that talk about preseason and mini camp and this and that, you see,
clearly
this is what we're capable of doing. Well, okay. Well, let's do it again. now after a loss. Maybe if you were there for mini camp, the guys would get used to your cadence and they wouldn't false start so much. No, of course, that's not a part of it. But it's hard. It's hard to go through these things and lose games. The Jets lost, to me, in my opinion, the Jets lost a far worse game than what the Packers lost yesterday.
Oh, just because of how sloppy it was?
Oh, that was an awful game. The Packers, you can at least hang your hat on. Man, we were getting boat raced in the first half and we came back.
Yeah.
You can at least hang your hat on that. This game was atrocious. I mean, you're talking a team with 180 yards of offense beat you. I mean,
that's a brutal loss. That's a game you can't lose, especially to a team that you're supposed to win. You're a 8-point favorite in. However, now you're supposed to lose those games because now you go 5-0 straight up so far in 2024. Teams that were 7+ point underdogs winning those games.
So Salah, I guess, did walk back, just to cap that off, did walk it back a little bit. This is from 3 hours ago. So said, the Jets will make no changes with their cadence because that's part of what they do. He said yesterday he was talking about the entire operation. That's what he meant yesterday when he said the Jets maybe weren't good enough for ready cadence. He again, sorry guys, pointed to the entire operation. So he kind of walked that back. This is like the second time he's done this, walking something back. I don't know. I mean, remember when Robert Saleh said they'll keep receipts? Well, I think everyone's going to keep receipts on him. I think it's kind of ridiculous first to say that in the first place. They had to change the cadence. No, Rodgers was totally right there. So
listen, Saleh better hope.
Be a better leader there, Robert
I'm going to
Saleh.
say it like this. Robert Saleh better hope Aaron Rodgers fixes this team. Because if he doesn't, Saleh's gone.
He get the whole year?
It depends on how bad it gets.
I was going to say, because right now it's been, I would say it would be a much heavier lean and favorite to Doug Peterson being first head coach fired. Right. They're 0-4. Yeah. He was asked yesterday about his job security. He's like, that's a strange question. I feel okay, but that's a weird question. It's really not that weird of a question, Doug. But I think those two right now are the leaders in the clubhouse. I think it would have to get a lot worse. But if it just gets a little louder, John, I could see it happening quicker in New York, potentially.
Yeah. To me, if it gets bad there, I could see it going down with Robert Saleh. I would say, I would personally, I think Peterson, who is it? Is it Douglas up there in the other New York?
Brian Daboll?
Sorry, Daboll. Douglas is the GM. Yeah, it's Daboll. Those two guys, I think Aaron will keep this team afloat. I think Aaron will get this team right to the cusp of the playoffs and potentially in. If they make the playoffs, hey, everybody's happy.
Yeah.
If they miss the play, that's how fine this line might be. This line might be 9-8 in the playoffs. You keep your job. 9-8 out of the playoffs, you might lose your job.
Well, and they're 2-2. They probably should be 3-1.
They miss the playoffs, he's gone.
And the reality is that happens, he's gone, but they'll be in contention, I think. I don't think they're going to be out of the mix.
Jets this weekend. It's the first game on Sunday. Come on. We got our first London game, first 8:30 kickoff.
They need to win this ball game. Aaron, I need you to
come we get to cheer against the Vikings.
Aaron, you got to reach back and find your best stuff. And
anyone know their travel plans?
I will find out because
they're probably leaving tomorrow.
They got to leave tomorrow because
they're probably leaving.
If you're doing your homework on this one.
Yeah. Go see the bridge, go enjoy some sights, go and have a lot of fun, and then go and win by 2 touchdowns against the Minnesota Vikings and do your old team a favor. That would be very, very nice. We would appreciate that a lot. We also appreciate you being a contestant on You Better You Bet. That comes up to start hour number 3. Caller number 8, going to be the first contestant for week 5 of You Better You Bet. Yeah, we'll start looking ahead. This is when the sharp money comes in. This is when they say the best investors make their plays. And it's your final time to play in the month of September. We'll re-rack and open it back up for all the Nooners that have missed out coming up tomorrow. But one last chance in September to be the contestant. You Better You Bet. That's to start hour 3 of 9 to noon. Stay wide on the game. Sorry, Shabuzi. Still not beating this. Like it's
yeah.
just it's still not going to hit the same
But-
as this does.
But Shabuzi, did you see this? Shabuzi, the #1 country song of 2020s.
Yeah.
Of all the 2020s,
Out of all the
Wow.
20, out of every
The
song
whole
since,
decade?
out of every song that has been created in the country genre since January 1st, 2020, surpassing Morgan Wallen's, I don't know the name of the song, but it
One of
surpassed
them,
a
yeah.
Morgan Wallen song. He's probably got 20 of them
I
in
was
the
gonna
top
say,
20.
yeah.
But yeah, Shabuzi now,
That's
the
hard to believe.
#1 country song of the 2020s. And only gonna extend the lead. Hey,
Only
now it's
gonna
like
continue to
now
go,
it's
yeah.
just it's like Shohei with the 50-50. How many home runs can I get to?
And wonder how many more round numbers you get. Because John,
Mhm.
really, it is like it's for pregame warmups, right? This is probably about 75 minutes before the game, a little loose, and then right before once the crowd really starts funneling in, get
Yeah.
everybody into a party mood. Post game after they play, safe and sound 1,500 times.
Yeah.
Pound that into your head, and then all of a sudden, let's fire some people back up. Let's get some more Shabuzi going. I'm walking out of there yesterday, 6:00. Better believe they're bumping Shabuzi over at Stadium View for the people that were still
I'll tell
partying
you,
and having
It's
fun.
not that big
So-
of a song, I guess.
but
man.
there's more daylight hours than nighttime hours. Because if it's nighttime hours, I pick the old Tip song.
Yeah,
I pick-
Jaquan.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Because that's more like the party vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is more like the chill.
If you're taking your shower to go to dinner
Yeah.
or potentially go out after dinner,
Mhm.
this is
You
the
gotta have
song
this
that you
going.
have playing in the bathroom.
Yeah, but if you're
But
at
if
a
you're
tailgate-
outside at
I get it.
any point in time, in the car, driving to work, driving the kids to school, maybe you're on your way to a Packer game, maybe a Brewers playoff game. Here we go. Put on Shabuzi's Tips. That's the one when it's sunny out. on.
yeah,
That's like the chill out tip. So you
Well,
have a whole day of it. You know, you
Come
can
on.
have-
and
well,
let's
yeah.
be
Come
honest.
on.
I got it. I got it.
Come
Here.
on.
There it is.
Yeah. See,
Come on. We thought you
It's
had it.
makes it so
I
much easier.
I didn't know you wanted it again.
Well, that's what we let into it.
I
If
know.
let
if
you
you-
in
I
again.
played both twice.
If you haven't had a pregame beer yet, if you haven't had a pregame drink yet, this is it.
Yeah, it'll fire it up.
The
Yep.
other one, you need to have had several.
There's levels to it,
Well,
right?
you don't need them. You don't need them, but you probably
It's
should.
also
have
about-
They're generally required.
The mood, the situation, who's around. I mean, this is palatable for everybody. You know, you can play this around grandma,
kids.
kids.
Oh, this is going to be one of the most marketed songs and used in
My
marketing.
My kids.
part of its power.
This song very early in the summer. This and Miles on It. These two songs this year,
Mhm.
the kids went hard.
and huge for
And
Jaquan.
we had a big summer. What's that?
Well, it's huge for Jaquan, and I brought his song back because
Did you just have a seizure there? Just out of nowhere, all of a sudden the head whips back and it's huge for Jaquan.
I'm just saying it's huge for Jaquan because he hadn't had an album in like 15 years. So all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he's sitting back, not lost, by the way, because they
Hey.
didn't find him.
Let's
No,
give
he's still
some good
there.
And-
let's give some good props for
There you go,
Jaquan being
Jaquan.
lost and found. He's been recovered from the
that
lost and
story's
found.
real. That story's
We
real.
appreciate that.
It was
Actually-
once lost and now is found.
That story's real. In March 2010, his record label said
Thought he
he'd
was
been
gone.
missing since early February 10. Later that same month, MVP
Still
TV
here.
News reported he's been in touch with the record label. He's alive and well. It was the
Speaking of
most
Jaquan.
random. But anyway, he hadn't had an album out for like 15 years, and he's probably getting royalties off this. He probably has a big chunk of this success. So he's good with it,
That's
you know.
great. Everybody happy for Jaquan.
Everyone's got to eat. Everyone's got to eat, and everyone's got to win. That's exactly what that really turns into being. All right. Speaking of winning, let's get into the winning. Let's get into the gambling. Let's get into the betting. Our favorite place to go invest, especially a week that is going to be buzzing. Week to go. Check out Potawatomi Sportsbook playoff week right now, and we hit You Better You Bet with our friends from Carnivore.
You better, you better, you better, you bet.
You better.
You better, you better, you bet.
You better bet that you need to beat the guys to eat with the guys at Carnivore, Milwaukee's premier steakhouse for over 15 years. The finest cuts of steak in Milwaukee that you're possibly going to be able to see domestically or internationally. International cuts of Wagyu steak, tremendous slices. Best thing is, if you want the most extensive wine and spirits menu in Milwaukee, that's also at Carnivore. Their wine cellar is second to none. Classic Steakhouse meets modern experience at Carnivore, Milwaukee's premier steakhouse for over 15 years. We invest with Potawatomi Sportsbook alongside, and we welcome Joe in Kenosha on, who's trying to get the sharp action. He's trying to get the first, guys, of the Week 5 feastable lines. So Joe in Kenosha, let's get to the first one. Let's get into next week already. What's your first pick going through? Joe in Kenosha.
Yep.
Joe. Hey, Joe.
Yep.
Joe, you there? Hey, Joe, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
We got you, Joe. We got you, Joe.
All right, I'll take the Dolphins.
All right, Joe is taking the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins are on the road against the New England Patriots coming up for a noon kickoff, John, and they will be laying 1 point in New England in Foxborough.
Wow. Okay, so we have decided now the Miami Dolphins, without their quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, are about the same as the New England Patriots, who just got boat raced again yesterday. 2 weeks in a row, boat races. In fact, the only victory the Patriots have are against the Cincinnati Bengals before they remembered how to play football, which is basically the month of September.
And I love that pick because I think they are better than the Patriots, to be honest with you.
Yeah, one team has Tyreek Hill and the other one doesn't.
Yeah.
I think I'd air with that one. Snoop Huntley going to start tonight for the Miami Dolphins,
which could change the odds on that line dramatically, depending on. And I liked Snoop when he played those 5 games for Baltimore that year. I liked what he was able to do. So depending on what he does here tonight, we could potentially see a massive line shift, and then Joe will get a bye.
He's a sharp.
Yeah, that'll be an easy one right there for our guy Joe. All right, Joe in Kenosha, what's your second pick?
Washington Redskins.
He's taking the what?
Well, they don't exist. They don't exist, Joe.
Hold on.
Did we dump that
in there? I'm sorry.
Joe is going with the Washington Commanders, laying 3 points against the Cleveland Browns.
Again, seems like a value early on for the way they're playing right now.
Listen, John, that owner's box looked like a party for the Washington Commanders. Josh Harris and company from the Philadelphia 76ers, Magic Johnson, Kevin Durant wearing a Terry McLaurin jersey.
Oh, yeah.
Vibes are immaculate for the Commanders right now.
Yeah, and you know what? They probably should be. Like, they haven't had anything to be excited about since RG3 in 2009.
Right.
It's been a very, very long time for this team. So this guy, Jaden Daniels, looks
amazing.
So good, so exciting. You got a Heisman. You know, when you pick that Heisman quarterback, you're always weary. Which Heisman guy did I get? Did I get Johnny Manziel Heisman? Right? Or did I get,
Joe Burrow Heisman? Yeah.
Which Heisman did I get? Well, Jaden Daniels is the exciting one. He's the one that you can hang your hat on. And it's because of not just running around making athletic plays. He's actually progressing through defenses and throwing where he should be, balls on time and with great accuracy. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah, and the nerds that say the only guys that can coach in pro football are offensive coordinators as head coaches. Let's pour one up for the retreads. Dan Quinn getting another job.
Oh, yeah.
Rightfully deserved another opportunity. What has he got? A 3-1 football team with the highest excitement level of anybody in the NFL.
Yeah, Dan Quinn, retread head coach. Cliff Kingsbury, retread offensive coordinator.
Yep.
Right. So I love it. I love that little vibe that they got going out there. And a couple guys, and believe me, when you're a coach and you went somewhere and you failed, right? Dan Quinn eventually got fired there in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Cliff Kingsbury eventually got, fired there in Arizona. A little Cliff Kingsbury, revenge game this past weekend. Nonetheless, they bring an edge to your team. They can bring an edge to a young team that needs to learn how to win and do things together. But that team also has Bobby Carpenter as a middle linebacker. I mean, there's so many interesting things about the Commanders that I didn't know until I actually started paying attention. Like, this team could be something.
Yeah, my left hand's up. I'm with the Commanders right now in that NFC East. I want to see what they end up doing.
But I swear to God, if Zabe says one good thing about him, I'll never take another word he says seriously. Because he said he's done with them.
He said he's done.
He said he's done with them, and he's all about Green Bay. He has converted his alliance. If he goes back to them, I swear to God, I won't talk to him again. I won't do it.
It's a little dramatic.
Come on,
Why?
Sam, put a
You
Commander
won't
shirt
talk
on.
to him ever again if he says one more good thing. You can't say,
you don't think I can do that? You don't think I can live up to that?
No, I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying it's a little
I
dramatic.
think he fears that you absolutely can.
I know you could. I'm saying I think it's a dramatic move.
I mean,
I
what
think
am I
it's worth
missing?
it.
We don't
Yeah.
do 5 wide anymore anyways. It's not like there's anything to worry about here.
Yeah.
Well, what about the company Christmas party? Well, we don't
We
have
don't
it.
had that
have
in 4
one.
years.
But if we do one day, I think you guys should be able to chop it up.
I ain't going to
I'll
that
stand
event.
on the opposite side of the room. I will do a golf, tip my cap at him
Yeah.
when I walk in. How about that?
Yeah, well, if you are,
I'll be
golfing-
cordial. No words. No
Or
words.
you could be like me, John. I'm just not going to show up. All right, let's go to Joe in Kenosha
I'll
for your
show
next
up.
pick. Well, yeah, because you want to get another trophy.
or get some free food or something. Joe, go ahead.
Yep. Seattle Seahawks.
Taking the Seattle Seahawks.
What do you make of this team -6 against the Giants? Seattle. Is this team for real guys or not? I
We're
cannot.
about to
decide.
find out here tonight. We're about to
Yeah.
find out
Right.
here tonight.
I want to. A lot will tell. I think a lot tonight. Will
I think
tell
they
us a
are
lot.
for real. I do. I think they are for real.
And even
And
if they're
it's
not,
hard not to be. Listen. What's crazy is Tyler Lockett is their third wide receiver.
Mhm.
I mean, they got
Yes.
DK Metcalf. They got Jackson Smith and Jigba and Geno Smith. I can't help it. I have to root for the guy. I really like
all right.
him.
And we got to root against Motor City Dan Campbell right now. I listen, hey, things are flustered in there in Detroit.
Ooh.
He's looking at Homes, John. He might. They
I
might.
love
they might
when we
caught
get
tonight.
good games that aren't ours, right? I
Yes.
love when we
Oh,
got
sure.
a game like last night. It was a stinker of a ball game, but it had hype. It had excitement,
Mhm.
right? At least I watched it until halftime. This game here tonight, I'm super jacked up for. I want to see the Seahawks go in. Yeah, because here's the deal. The Lions are now good again, so they get to have Monday Night Football again. Remember, for years, they couldn't have Monday Night Football unless they were the visiting team. Now they get to do it, so they get to turn the lights off and have that whole show for their fans and everything. So, yeah, I'm excited for this one. I think the Seahawks got a shot.
I'm excited for it. And that one coming up that Joe just grabbed is the Seahawks at going to be back at home against the Giants coming up next week, laying 6 points. Joe, what's your fourth pick?
Kansas City Chiefs.
He's taking the Kansas City Chiefs. They will be most likely without Rashee Rice. As yesterday, Andy Reid said, it doesn't look good. The fear is he tore his ACL yesterday. Tough spot for them, but they'll be at home Monday Night Football, laying 5.5, John, against the New Orleans Saints.
How would you feel? And
well, they
I
haven't
don't-
looked great. The Chiefs.
no, listen, the Chiefs are a scary proposition.
They
right now
rescued
to try and
themselves.
gamble.
Yeah.
How would you feel if you're Patrick Mahomes, your best target, the guy who you really trust more than anybody else? Travis Kelce looks like he's downgraded about 3 levels here in the
Slower.
last year and a half.
He's got to get rid of that bull cut.
And
a little better yesterday though?
the
7
bowl cut, the
catches.
mustache, yeah. I
Gotta
want
go.
old Trav back. I
Yep.
want old Trav that's got really good dance moves, not
Get
really
a nice
funky dance
tight,
moves.
tight fade. Come on, what are we doing?
Oh,
This
yeah,
Dumb and Dumber look does not play on
gotta
a
go.
Kelce. It does
Yeah.
not play on a Kelce. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying he did have a better game yesterday. 7 catches.
But how would you feel if your favorite target in the last year, you single-handedly blow his knee out?
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't
Right.
imagine what Mahomes is
Yeah,
thinking.
you want to talk
gotta
about
be kidding
hospital
me.
ball. That's what
I
that
already
was.
lost Hollywood Brown for the year.
Uh-huh.
My bailout guy, Isaiah Pacheco, the
Was
hardest running
gone.
small guy in the league, is out at least until week 8 or 9. And now I just blew out the knee of my number 1 target. I'm going to have to start throwing the ball to Travis again.
Yet it seems like they keep finding a way. So
Well, even great. Then, let's dig up the skeletal remains of Kareem Hunt and hand it to him 14 times for 70 yards.
well,
He did well.
Worthy looked all right yesterday.
They're impressive, dude. If they play defense like this
Right.
and they only need to score 17 points, John,
It's
they're going to be hard to beat.
it's so unfair. It's so unfair that a guy like Patrick Mahomes gets the defense that he's had for the last 2 years. That
Yeah.
defense won them a Super Bowl last year. There was only one team that scored 25 points or more against them before this. What did the 49ers score against them? They did, but they
22? Was it 22 all when it went to
I thought it was 23, but I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
in regulation only one team.
Oh, 19. No, it was
25 points. 25 points. That's they don't let it up. They don't let up 25 points. And all these other quarterbacks
19?
are out here
19.
trying to score 30 points in a game to win more
Mhm.
times
Well,
than not.
if you ever
And
had-
the Chiefs just don't have to. He's got the best defense
Like
for a good quarterback has ever had.
I always said, if you ever wonder what it would be like to have Aaron Rodgers' talent and Brady's luck, you have Patrick Mahomes, and that's what you got.
It's a pretty nice compliment to have. That's a pretty nice duo to have.
Yeah.
Joe and Kenosha, what's your last pick?
The best bet of the year, the Packers.
Let's go.
Best bet of the year is the Packers. He's locking in the Packers, laying 3.5 on the road at SoFi Stadium, John, against the LA Rams.
Whew. Let's find out what Cooper Kupp's doing. Let's just figure this out.
Yeah.
Because if Ja isn't back and we got to roll against Cooper Kupp, if Devontae Wyatt's out, Christian Watson's out, Ja's out, Carrington Valentine's out. When's the bye? Can somebody just tell me when the bye is? How did
Not
we
for
get
another
to this?
month.
November.
How did we get to this
We
spot
know the
already?
bye.
Yeah, not for another month.
How did we get to this spot already?
Well, everyone in the league, there's been injuries are part of this game.
We
Obviously, but it
didn't
does
have
feel
Jordan
like-
for 2 games,
Yeah,
and
I
now
know.
it feels like we're missing half of his, helpers.
Especially Devontae Wyatt, John, you mentioned it. That might be one of the biggest injuries that they could have with
That
the kind of
hurts.
pressure the
I
third
think
year
it's
guy
the
was getting.
biggest one. I think it's
Mhm.
the biggest one.
I was loving watching him rush, and hopefully he's back sooner rather than later. Also, could we have gotten my man a cart yesterday? Did he really have to walk all the way across the field at the end of the game? Give my man a ride. He deserves it. 300. All right, Joe, great work. Find out next week,
Thank you.
Tuesday, where you're at in these picks. Fantastic job.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Joe and Kenosha playing You Better You Bet with Carnivore, Milwaukee's premier steakhouse for over 15 years. That always frustrates me, John. My man is 300 pounds. He's laboring. Can we get him a cart to ride off on? Goodness gracious. Devontae Wyatt's got a high ankle sprain. What are we doing?
Christian Watson, who's much lighter, rode
Cruising.
in on the cart. The cart was back out there. They chose not to put the keys
Actually,
in. I don't understand it.
The fun, and that
Give my
was
man
the
a ride.
cart from the tent to the locker room for Christian Watson
Yeah.
because he was in the blue tent. It wasn't even from the field. So yeah, I agree with you. We got to get our cart game.
We got to
going.
get our guy a ride. We
Yeah.
got to be saving those steps. We got to be working. Now, the couple of steps that you're going to make from your car into Potawatomi Casino, Hotel, Sportsbook. If you're not going to go all the way to the Sportsbook, right across the skywalk into the kiosk, that's where you got to go to lay down this can't miss bet.
Oh, big week for Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook. You talk about some shows. We're going to have some shows down at Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook, and we're going to have a Packers series down there at Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook. And we're going to have wild card baseball games down at Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook. And we're going to have another Badgers game down at Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook, along with another Packers game down at Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook.
bro.
We're going to have everything that you need there. This is a big week down there, and you're going to want to make your way down to the Sportsbook, the biggest sportsbook outside of Vegas, 2,000 square foot curved LED screen, bigger than most in Vegas as well. Trust me, make your way down there and check it out. It's so comfortable. Leather couches, leather recliners, and a bar that you can sit at and play video poker while taking in that 2,000 square foot LED screen. And if you don't want to stay, you can just make your way to one of the kiosks off the second and third level, just off the skywalk. Let's first go back before we go forward. Let's go back to find out how we finished our 7th consecutive winning week. Armin, that's 7.
Seven, John.
LSU minus 20.5 versus the Precipity Girl Scouts. They got that done. They handled that business. Whatever it was, they beat that. You can find the score.
South
Armin.
Alabama, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't have a pulled up
Jaguars,
right now.
South Alabama.
They took them down. But don't forget, the Jaguars scored 84 points in a game earlier this season. This
they
was a risk.
donkeyed Appalachian State the week before.
That's why I was only 20.5. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
20.5. That seemed like a very good bet. That was a very good bet. So now we have 7 weeks
Yeah.
of winning picks in a row.
You had to rescue it, no doubt about it. I mean, started off 2-0, but it doesn't matter how you won it. You won the
Rescue.
well.
7 winning weeks.
When you start off 2-0 and it becomes 2-2, you got to rescue it on Friday.
Don't forget, we
Whoa.
went 3-2 last
That's
week,
called
and our
coming in
two
clutch.
Nothing
and
wrong
our
with
2
it.
losses, Armin. We're
Hey,
bad beats.
I don't care if you call me last. I got the call. I'm saying we got the win. That's all that matters. So let's start off our 8th in a row if we can.
We're going to start off our 8th in a row. And I love a Jake Bobo anytime touchdown tonight at plus 4,000, but that's not where I'm going with a can't miss, because this is a can't miss. This is something you cannot miss. You are going to win if you take Jahmyr Gibbs over 41. Where's it at? I apologize.
Is that rushing yards, John?
Jahmyr Gibbs over 51.5 rushing yards. Yes. You know what? Let's bump that up. 54.5 rushing yards, so we can get into the plus category.
That's what I'm talking
I
about.
like that.
Plus 105 for over 54.5 rushing yards for Jahmyr Gibbs in tonight's Monday night battle. But if you want to get a little frisky, put some down on a Jake Bobo plus 4,000 anytime touchdown, because weird things happen on Monday Night Football. Always does.
Always does. All right, John, I like that. Jameer Gibbs over 54.5. That puts you in the plus money. And guys, before we go to break, real quick, I do have an update to what we were talking about earlier. You know about Tipsy and Jaquan and if he's good and everything. Yeah. Billboard tracked him down for an interview, by the way. Billboard tracked him down for an interview after everything went big. And he said it, and I kind of like the way he said it. They asked him about how he felt about it, becoming a big song again. He said, all I know is I did Tipsy, and Tipsy is forever it. Quote, that's the #1 song ever. So there you go. I love that.
Put that in your pipe and smoke.
And then they
asked
#1
him song ever
about how much, we joked about how much money he's doing good now. They asked him if he's getting a big cut. He goes, quote, I got a crazy percentage. The clearance process, can't nothing go down until Jaquan say it goes down. That's facts. Of course, when I come in, I'm talking strong numbers. That's all in my song, but I'm proud of him.
Strong numbers.
How about that? Can't nothing go down until Jaquan.
Look at how excited Armin is for his #1 rapper of all time, Jaquan.
That's hilarious.
Listen, it's not actually that funny, but it's very good content.
It reminds me of Ricky Henderson. Today I'm the greatest of all time. He goes, that's the #1 song ever. Bottom line. That's
#1 song ever. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
I'm Ricky song. Bobby. I just piss excellence.
It's fantastic.
All I do is win.
All I do is win.
If you're not first, you're last.
Take it, Jaquan. He's the #1 song ever.
And big.
Can't nothing go down unless Jaquan say it goes down.
He said it went down. So Shabuzi's rolling. Good stuff.
One hit. He had one song. I love that. That's energy. That's confidence, man.
Now that is energy. What you are exuding is absolute energy and absolute heat. That's Armin Sari and John Coons right there. I'm Billy Schmidt. We'll hit the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line as well on the other side. We'll tell you what the Brewers need to see coming up here today as to who they will then see coming up tomorrow in Game 1. Playoff baseball returning to Milwaukee. We return to your radio and your iHeartRadio app and YouTube and X. Thanks for streaming 9 to noon. Stay wide on the game. 9 to noon on the game inside the Iron Jock studios. Let's talk Iron Jock hoodies and their all-purpose joggers. Now through October 13th, when you purchase men's or women's hoodies and joggers, use promo code FALL30, receive 35% or 30% off every hoodie and jogger in your cart. Also, you'll get a free Iron Jock travel towel just for using Fall 30. Go to ironjock.com for more details. That's ironjoc.com. It is becoming Iron Jock hoodie season. Going to be seeing that probably the official uniform of the guys on the game coming up here for the next couple of weeks. So join in on that. Armin, it's always Iron Jock hoodie season for you, though. I mean, like, I put the sweatshirt on this morning because, Bucks Media Day. I mean, official kickoff of the season. I know nobody realized that because why else would we schedule media day day after a Packers divisional game at home?
Sure.
Right in the middle of playoff baseball. We're going to get most attention right there. But they're going to go travel out to UC Irvine for training camp. So I had to support that a little bit. Also a little chilly. I know you're always rocking for the sweater weather because that's what we're getting into now.
Love throwing it on all the time. Always a great, nice, comfortable layer. And it gives me that little extra warmth because I'm always cold wherever we go.
Always gonna be colder. Always gonna be colder.
I really appreciate it. And it's got that little V-neck that John likes, I know. So that's always a nice little pre-cut V-neck. That makes a big difference. It's very comfortable.
It does help. It does give you a little added boost. And one more little boost for you this week. If you're looking for how on earth you're going to celebrate and enjoy playoff baseball, let me give you the idea. So coming up tomorrow, it'll be 4:32. It'll be either the Mets or the Diamondbacks.
Okay.
Mets get a series split today, Armin.
We get the Mets.
Yeah. Either team sweeps, John, this doubleheader that starts up here in about a half hour from right now in Atlanta. If the Braves win both games or the Mets win both games, we get the Diamondbacks. No way that we can see the Braves, either the Mets or the Diamondbacks coming up tomorrow, 4:32 first pitch.
How about how crazy that is?
It's amazing.
The Diamondbacks have to sit around today and watch 2 games and not one. They have to watch both games and they have to root for, they can't pick a squad to root for. They have to root for whoever wins the first game to do it again.
Yes.
And hope there's not some secret handshake on the inside. Like, hey, we're going to throw our horse the first game.
That's what I would
throw
do.
Your horse the second game.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell my guys to swing at everything the first game. You tell your guys to swing at everything.
I love this collusion
we'll
talk here.
We'll split this thing. I mean, you're not thinking it. I'm thinking it. Major League Baseball, this is an issue. When you have a doubleheader, it's not one game. It's a doubleheader.
I like
where
this.
If each team wins one game, they both get into the playoffs.
So was this 22 in the NFL season or 21 on that Sunday night game where if the teams tied on the last game of the year,
get in.
They both got in.
And
that was wild.
There's a soccer match.
And the Raiders missed the memo on that.
Yes.
Wasn't it the Raiders? The Raiders missed the memo.
Well, and Brandon Staley calls a timeout trying to get the ball back, and Rich Bisaccia is like, all right, bub. Yeah. You ain't going to the playoffs.
Right.
We're kicking this field goal and ending this bad boy, and we're going to end your season.
You messed up the plan, so there you go. We're going to go and beat you. And there was a soccer match.
Oh, so you're saying it was the Chargers that missed the memo, and the Raiders were like, since you missed the memo, I'm going to shove that memo where it doesn't shine.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was like it looked like they were running the clock out. Then the Chargers took a timeout to try to get the ball back, and Bisaccia's like, oh, I thought we were going to do the tie thing.
Okay, see, that's funny. I took it differently. I took it as they were doing the timeout to make it look like, hey, well, we are going to tie here, but we at least got to put up the illusion
I like that
we're trying to
Sure.
win.
I get you.
And then Rich Bisaccia said, nah, we are actually winning.
That's awesome.
We didn't get the memo.
I love Rich Bisaccia, honestly, for one of that exact moments. Whatever ended up happening in his Packer tenure could be, because that was one of the greatest you moments that you could have.
So for that game, for the doubleheader today, then you're only really paying attention to the second game, because someone's going to win the first one. So you don't even have to think about that. It's all about the second game. And I want the split. I want the Mets. I know you're not supposed to try and pick your opponents and anything can happen. And come on, you should be able to beat the best to get to the. I get all that. All right.
Brewers are 5-1 against the Mets this year,
and maybe throwing like a 6th starter. Who knows who they have to throw on Tuesday?
And watch it be Quintana somehow.
Well, yeah, but you know what? I still want the Mets. I don't want the Diamondbacks. You know, I don't mean to sound, Arvin,
running from your nightmares or something?
Stop running from your nightmares, Arvin. Stop running from the grind. Stop being scared. No, I'm not playing, so I have nothing to do with it.
I think the Diamondbacks would be a little bit fitting with a different team, with a different manager, with a different way of stuff
I like
being
that deal.
done around
Okay,
here.
sure.
Right?
Okay, you
I
get
think it would be
revenge or
fit-
whatever.
I think it's a perfect way to make this season distinctly sit out or stick out versus last season.
Well, if we get the Diamondbacks, that's the approach we'll take.
Oh, okay.
But before
if we get there.
We'll get to that spin zone when we hit.
I would, in a perfect world, John, if I could play, sports god, I would love to say, yes, we overtake the Diamondbacks and, we outdo them and all this stuff. And so
I'm going to say this with that whole Willy Adames affair yesterday. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me feel like there's something special brewing in the air.
Come on now.
There's something here to this. It doesn't feel like Pat knows, and Pat wants to make it special. And the players know, and the players want to make it special. And Willie knows, and Willie wants to make it special. And the fans know, and it's everybody's all in. Everybody's all. It has a weird kind of. Now, don't somebody else take care of the Dodgers for us. Hope we don't have to do
I'm
that.
down with that. Yep, down with that.
It feels really. This has some really great feels to it. The way it finished this past weekend.
I'm fascinated to see who makes it out of that Padres Braves potentially, or Padres Mets, depending on whatever this deal goes through. Somebody's going to have to beat San Diego, and if somebody beats LA before you get there, I don't need to beat the toughest track, right? Like, I'm very okay having somebody do your dirty work. They're going to have to figure out, first off, how to get out of one series. Have not won a series since 2018.
That's a good point.
But John, I loved, and I'm glad you mentioned Pat Murphy saying that yesterday. They give Willy Adames, they take him out in the 7th inning, allow the fans to give a fantastic standing ovation to him. It is a reality of this situation. Everybody in that clubhouse knows it. No one's holding it against anybody. But the windows that open and close, there's certain guys that are going to come in and out, even if it is an open window of championship ability, right? Opportunity to win a title. Willy Adames seems to be, this is going to be his last stand with the Milwaukee Brewers, and they're trying to make every bit of it. I also love Christian Yelich is now like trying to be next in line to take over for Bill Schroeder. Every time I'm watching, he's on TV.
Put on the plaid jacket this weekend.
Let's do it. You should sit up there with Uke. He could be Monty. Now, listen.
Monty, yes.
Figures out some dynamite drop-in, Monty.
Dynamite dropping, Monty.
They don't call you the best in the business for nothing.
Oh, man, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? Oh, man.
I'm excited for it. If you want to get into the action, you want to be a part of the fun, tomorrow, post-game show, be at one of our favorite places in the whole wide world, Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Yeah, it's going to be a big week.
Electrifying day coming up tomorrow. A ton of wall-to-wall coverage. And today was just told during the break. I got pulled out of the studio twice during the break, guys. Information. Drew and KB from the Brewers team store today.
Wow, from the store itself?
From the Brewers team store.
Oh, my
Drew
goodness.
and KB will be today, 3 to 6 at American Family Field. Go down, get your playoff gear. Celebrate. Go see what KB and Hunter look like. Drew Olson going to have a very, very nice clear cut. No, I think they got
too many days in a row.
Got 86 from the bar. They said,
Okay,
you guys.
So they said last Thursday, Buffalo Wild Wings.
Mm-hmm.
Last Friday, you most certainly went somewhere. Monday, you're going to try and do it again. And knowing that Tuesday and Wednesday, you're going to be doing it too. No, you can't drink 5 days in a row on the job. You can't do it.
Wait a minute. The barrel yard's right there, actually.
Very close, very convenient. But listen, they're far enough away that, you can't take those Long Islands out of that little area.
Yeah,
so you got to keep the Long Islands in that area. To John's point, Drew and KB 2 to 4:30 tomorrow from Dugout 54. So
they told them, hey, you need one night off here. You need one night. We can't have you on a full-blown bender on
it was
you guys
always
gotta calm down one time.
Years ago in a previous life when I worked in the store, it was always fun when we had a special guest in. I guess it would be fun to have a show. Didn't have a show. I remember
Would you just be talking their ear off if you were still working that team store?
I remember I had to
sports radio show there. Oh my God, you'd have been in heaven.
I had to help manage the line for Chris Capuano autographs when he came in and Ray King autographs, which was awesome. Because I just talked to those guys.
Probably similar lines.
All right, you're next right here. Chris is right. Oh, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you.
Who didn't have a Ray King autograph though?
You had to have one.
You had to have a Ray King autograph.
Yeah,
he was all over the place. Love Ray King. Old number 34.
Yeah.
All right, Brewers and potentially Mets, potentially Diamondbacks. We'll find out today. And the post game tomorrow, the pregame tailgate. We'll get everybody set starting up early tomorrow as playoff baseball approaches. We got to get into what happened on Saturday as well. We got to get our final takeaways of the day from 31-29 Vikings over the Packers yesterday on the Packers Radio Network. You heard it right here on The Game. You heard John Kuhn, a part of the broadcast with Wayne Larrabee and Larry McCarron. Our quick trip takeaways of the day are right after this. Kuhn, Billy, and Armin, stay wide on The Game. 9 to noon on the game. Give our quick trip takeaways of the day coming up in a matter of moments. I'm Billy Schmidt, John Kuhn, Armin Sarian on the amazing mix bag. Also, fantastic work in the Monday montage. It was a losing montage after a 31-29 L at Lambeau yesterday for the home team.
Yeah.
Now go to 2-2 in the 4-0 Minnesota Vikings. Spoils go the victors. They're now the leaders of the NFC North. John, I mentioned a couple of times, though, there was a moment yesterday while I'm sitting in the press box, quiet as it can be up there because nobody can talk, nobody can cheer. Where, John, there's about a minute to go in the game. Packers are about to punt the ball back to the Minnesota Vikings after a 3-and-out, in which I thought to myself and put it out into the ether. I was about to, as the postgame show host for the Wisconsin Badgers football radio network and the Green Bay Packers radio network, I was going to watch 4 consecutive quarters in a row in which the team that I'm covering is getting outscored 56-0.
Mm-hmm.
That was going to be a painful weekend to watch what happened in that second half and then the first half at Lambeau yesterday.
Do you have to be in the media box? Can you use your media credentials to get in and then just kind of roam around the stadium?
I have to. I got to move around a little bit because it is sleepy.
Because I don't see why. I mean, just make your way down to the second level and just walk around, stand in the hallways, do whatever. I mean, I couldn't stand in that quiet ass room for that whole time.
It's tough, dude.
Maybe when
That's
they're winning, you can. Maybe when they're winning, but not when they're losing. I mean, I took away a couple things from this weekend. I did. First of all, Ryan Williams is really good at football.
Pretty good. Yeah.
The 17-year-old for Alabama, he's a dog, and he took the dogs to task. Hey, if you don't know the name Ryan Williams, well, you're gonna, because he's going to be doing this on Sundays for a very long time.
Yeah.
A very long time. That kid's unbelievable. Number 2, Braden Arvison is the only kicker in the NFL to miss a field goal of under 40 yards. The only one. The only kicker. NFL kickers are 115 for 116 on field goals under 40 yards. That's the other thing I learned this weekend.
Oh, no.
And then lastly,
wow.
the gold package lived up to exactly what I said the gold package would.
Oh, come on.
A lot of purple in the stands, but a really loud atmosphere.
Nobody
sat down.
Yeah.
Nobody sat down, but a lot of purple. So if you're okay, if you like standing for games and you're okay with the other team being there, gold package is for you. If you like only green and gold, hunter orange, or camouflage, then the green package is for you. But caution, beware. You might not be able to stand up for the green package. I'm just saying, gold package. They were there. A lot of purple, but a lot of really.
But it was getting
people.
bumping. It was getting loud there, especially John. That Jalen Naylor gift that he gift wrapped there to
the gold package goes
wake it
hard.
up a little
They
bit.
always do. I think part of it is because the other color brings out the fight in you.
Yes,
it does.
It does.
And you know what? It hurts, Armin, to see that much color in our stadium, to see that much purple in our stadium. But it also, I mean, I have a friend whose wife is maybe 100 pounds soaking wet. She's a tiny little thing, but more, I mean, she will yell at opposing fans.
Well, you got to cape up. You got to cape up.
And she did.
Yeah.
She caped up. She was disgusted by how much purple was there, but it made her yell louder. So I don't know if it's a bad thing. And here's the other thing about the gold package. They lube up. They lube up. It didn't matter.
Partying up.
12 o'clock. 12 o'clock drop for you, Armin. It didn't matter. 12 o'clock here, 12 o'clock game.
Yes.
They were lubed up for that thing.
No, the noon game helps in that regard.
Inject this gold package love right into my veins.
Yeah,
Needed it bad.
I do appreciate. I didn't know where you're going with this at first. I do appreciate someone sticking up for the gold package because
sticking up for the gold package. You've been trying to dunk on them all day.
I did a little bit because I don't want to live at halftime, but then again,
I
was
did
28-0.
I did both. I'm
All
a dunk,
Packers
and then I'm
fans-
going to lift back.
All Packer fans matter. All right, so let's not create divisions.
APFM.
And here's the thing about it. All right,
It's back.
it's not. There were Colts fans in week 2 also in the crowd. It's not just
Not
gold
near
package.
as many.
Yeah,
not
not
even
near as
close
Well,
to as many.
Yes, but it also, well, I guess they're sort of proximate. So
Exact
you could say they're
same
close.
drive.
Yeah.
Exact
It's
same
close,
hours and
about 4
drive.
hours.
But I think there are more Vikings fans amongst us, in the midst of us, not necessarily just from Minnesota. I don't think there's many Colts fans in Wisconsin.
And there was 4 times the Vikings fans as Colts fans.
So, okay, that is
What would you
still
say
a
about
problem.
70-30?
Yeah, I would say about 30% Vikings.
That's kinda
fans.
what I thought
Listen,
too,
it's
yeah.
okay. It's okay to just call it what it is.
Okay.
Armin, which is Gold package, give their tickets up a hell of a lot easier
Mhm.
than green package. However, gold package games, they're a
Lit.
little more exciting.
Ah, that's what I'm talking about. See, get a little yin and yang.
Yeah.
Get a little yin and yang. Maybe a gold packager's just
I'd
like
like
a
to
little.
have yin and yin, but
Well,
you get what you get.
yeah, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You got to make it and then give it to the other people,
We got to
right?
give the yang.
Let's just
Hospitality.
let's start somewhere and say don't leave early. Let's all just bring it all game.
Oh, you're back to making rules for everybody.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
glad to see we finished the same way.
well,
we started.
you were just talking about what you like to see and call it like it is.
So
I'm
you're gonna
call
be
it like it
there
is.
for all 27 outs tomorrow.
I'm not leaving a playoff game early. Yes, absolutely, I'm not. As long as I don't have to work or there's some extenuating circumstance.
Will you be
okay,
there
other
for the
things,
national
though, yeah.
anthem? You better be in your seat for the national
It's
anthem.
a four something, right?
4:32
Yeah,
first
I'm
pitch.
there. Then I'm there. If it was only, if it was a 12 something or I wouldn't get there in time from the show, maybe this and that. Yeah, I'm gonna be there. I'm not one of these
Build
guys
in a bunch of excuses. I
that
like
needs
that.
to hang out with. Well, as long as I'm allowed to be in there, and I don't have to go take pictures with every tailgate and meet 15 different
Who's
guys.
going to
Like,
take pictures? Who are you that popular that
No,
you
I'm
can't
just-
walk around
no.
AmFam and the parking lots
don't mean me.
without getting accosted for a picture?
I don't
for a
mean me.
And you're
I mean,
complaining
couple
about
videos.
the photos now?
no, I don't mean me.
You
I
are
don't-
now complaining
No.
about the photos
No.
that you take with Nooners.
That's not
John,
what I'm
you
saying.
know
I
how hard it
am
is to be
flabbergasted.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I
Flabbergasted.
like taking pictures with people. I said if it's like for instance,
John, you don't get how hard it is to be Armin Sarian walking in and out of a Brewers game.
That's
The amount of
such
people
a
that stop
tough
him to say
life
hi.
to make fun of everybody and ridicule
No,
their
that's
jobs
not what I
and
meant.
not have to take pictures with
No.
them.
It's incredible.
No, I'm
It's
saying,
incredible.
I'm saying we don't need to like meet the 15,000 people we know in terms of tailgate pregame. Let's get in there for first pitch, be ready to cheer and be ready to be focused on the game. That's what I'm trying to say.
15,000.
Opening day, sometimes it's different. I don't like that. I want to be in for the first
15,000
pitch.
for
You
I
think
wanna
Zayman
watch-
Butch talked to
15,000
15,000 people
They
yesterday?
talked to 15.
It went to
Well,
one tailgate.
Maybe, but my point is this: I'm going to be there cheering for 27 outs. Absolutely, you don't have to worry about me in that regard. You don't have to worry about me.
Oh.
I'll be there watching the game and not doing the wave, and not giving up if we're losing. All
Take
right,
that. Put
Let's
that in
go.
your pipe and smoke it. That's
All
what
right.
Armin Sarian's going to be doing tomorrow at Brewers and potentially Mets, potentially
If you
Diamondbacks.
want a picture, we'll take one between innings. Don't bother me during the game.
I am at a loss of words.
No.
Can you please go to break and end this show right now?
That's fair. That's fair.
Did you see his eyes looking at me? Oh
That's
my
fair.
God. Quick Trip takeaway of the day.
All
Brought
right.
to you by Quick Trip. Eat some for dinner. Don't cook. Stop by your local Quick Trip. Pick up a fresh and prepared, absolutely delicious take-home meal you might even find.
I think that's fair.
We're taking this guy home. He's got to go home. We got to get to a break. John, fantastic work here today. Amazing reaction. We got way more of it coming up because the club's going to go up on a playoff game one Tuesday on 9 to noon. Armin Sarian, he's already playoff ready. I'm Billy Schmidt. We'll try to be better tomorrow. It's 9 to noon on the game.
Let's go.